Hello, everybody. It is Sunday, August 17th, 2025. Welcome to episode 113 of the Old Mage MTG podcast with your hosts, Old Mage Steve and Old Mage Alex. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a few topics for you in episode 113. Today, we're going to talk about a cycle of cards from Onslaught. It's been a while since we've done an episode on a cycle. We're going to discuss a little bit about replacement effects and how they work in Mage the Gathering. We're going to talk about some pre-modern cardboard market moves. Some prices of cards are going up. Search your bulk bins, people. You might have some of these cards. And what else are we going to talk about, Alex? More and more. But before we get started, I want to say, since you're here already, why don't you subscribe to our channel? Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to audio podcasts. I realized yesterday when I was writing the show notes that I forgot to convert our last episode to an audio file and upload it to our RSS feeds. So people who listen to us on Spotify and different podcast apps, they probably think we haven't put out an episode for like 2 months.
Oh.
I fucked up big time. This is when I need a personal assistant to remind me to do things. But episode 112 will be up very soon, rapidly followed by episode 113, this episode. Also, I want to say, if you hear us talk about any cardboard today that you'd like to add to your collection, please consider doing so by clicking our affiliate link and making your purchase on TCG Player. We get a little bit of kickback for that. The last couple months have been very good for us. We've made like $20 a month. That's fantastic. That pays for our Zoom subscription. Alex and I, we're not in the same location. You can probably tell we're not in the same room right now. We're not even in the same house. We're not broadcasting from different rooms in the same house. We're geographically in different locations, vastly different locations. We do this show remotely over Zoom. The kind people that click our affiliate link have paid for this Zoom subscription for the last 2 months. That is amazing. I love
Thank
you
you,
for
kind
that.
people.
Before we get on to the main topics of the episode, I just wanted to say, Alex, what's been going on in your Magic the Gathering life? You got any magic news to talk about?
Not a whole lot. I did play a little more Jumpstart recently, though, and that was fun. We picked from several different Jumpstart decks, mixed them up and picked randomly 2 each, and I got to play with black clerics and green dinosaurs and a white enchantment deck. The green dinosaurs performed quite well, but it was fun.
Was this with your brother-in-law, or were you playing with
Yeah.
your nephew too? Was he playing?
No,
Okay. I didn't know if you guys were
just
trying to
grown-ups.
teach him, if you were trying to teach him with some of the Jumpstart decks.
He's been playing them, though. He's been playing stuff with them a lot, yeah.
I think you told me you also matched one of your pre-modern decks up against the Jumpstart decks too.
I did.
Modern Jumpstart deck,
times.
modern beginner's deck versus pre-modern tier
Oh, you know
3
what?
deck.
It wasn't Jumpstart. It was my brother-in-law's standard deck that he built. He's been playing Arena,
Okay.
and he's been starting to try to put together in paper 1 or 2 of the decks. And he had like a mono blue heavy counter deck.
The worst type of decks to play against.
Yeah.
The least satisfying when you're just trying to cast beasts and turn them sideways. So you've been messing around with some of the newer Magic products. I've been solely focused on old Magic products. I recently got an opportunity to play again with a few of the Columbus Retromancers. I haven't been able to make it to a lot of the meetups lately, and I made it to one of the weekend meetups we have at a brewery in town. I got patched up. I got a C-Bus Retromancers 2024 pre-modern patch.
I love
Ulysses _2112 says, "That's cool as hell." I agree, Ulysses _2112.
Yeah,
It is cool as hell.
That's sick, dude.
The guy who made these, it was a couple different people working on different parts of the project. Somebody came up with the graphic. It's from the Retromancer card. Well, I actually have a copy here. Retromancer is 2 colors, 2 red, 3/3 summon via Shino. Whenever Retromancer is the target of a spell or ability, Retromancer deals 3 damage to that spell or ability's controller. Somebody turned the art on the Retromancer card into a graphic that somebody else then turned into a patch. And it came out surprisingly well. It looks awesome.
I agree. I think that's cool.
So I went there. I went there with my white weenie deck. I got my ass kicked. Curse Squirrel and Engineered Plague continue to piss me off. They
Ah,
are the banes of my existence.
mm,
I have some ideas for what to do about Engineered Plague. Curse Scroll is going to be a pain in the ass. I just think I need to start running more artifact removal main board.
mm.
I also brought a new Goblins deck I've been working on. I won some games and I lost some games with a Moto Ren Goblins build. I probably paid less than 10 games total with this new build. I will say it's performed better than expected. My record isn't that great, but that's because I misplayed multiple games that I could have finished one turn and then I lost the next turn.
Mm.
I made mistakes and the way I timed some things or in what I tutored for with my Goblin Matron. If I had been playing this correctly, the deck would be performing very well, above my expectations. I built a Goblins deck. It's mono red, and I want to use it to either win or draw. My goal is to limit the number of losses. Sometimes I want to blow myself up along with my opponent to draw if I'm afraid that I might lose.
Okay.
It's a Skirk, and it's really just because I want to play Skirk Fire Marshal. 3 colorless, 2 red, Goblin Lord, 2/2, protection from red. Tap 5 untapped goblins you control. Skirk Fire Marshal deals 10 damage to each creature or each player. So if I get a Goblin Horde out on the board, my opponent's at 9 or something, 8. I'm worried about what's going to happen next turn. Just start tapping goblins. I do 10 damage to everything. I'm also running it with Mog Maniacs. 1 colorless, 1 red, 1/1. Whenever Mog Maniac is dealt damage, it deals an equal amount of damage to target opponent. So if you have a Mog Maniac on the board, and it's one of 5 goblins on the board along with your Skirk Fire Marshal, you can turn them all sideways, do 20 damage to your opponent.
Hot dog.
So it has real possibility of doing an explosive amount of damage to an opponent in one turn. Is it a bit of a win more card because you say, Steve, pre-modern goblins are so powerful? If you got 5 goblins on the board, you're probably in good shape already. You're probably getting to the point where you're going to put your opponent away in a turn or two. Yeah, I guess it is kind of a win, probably is kind of a win more card, but I like it. I like the flavor of it. I like the idea that I can come out of nowhere and do 20, maybe 30 damage if I have 2 Mog Maniacs on the board, which has happened for me. It's fun. Uh,
And
what were you going to say?
oh, I was gonna say, and maybe you get around their meddling mage because you're using, unusual goblins.
Maybe I get around their meddling mage. Nobody's going to say Skirk Fire Marshal, at least not at the beginning.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to name Mog Maniac, at least not at the beginning. Uh, I've also found myself in a situation a couple different times already with this deck, playing it under 10 times, where my opponent was playing survival decks and they had just a wall of walls up that I couldn't attack through. One case he had multiple walls of roots, multiple walls of blossoms, and then an Academy Rector, which I didn't want to attack into because if I attacked into it, it was going to die, and he was going to immediately tutor for and put an enchantment into play that was going to win the game for him. I didn't want to attack. I was at a standstill.
I like that. That sounds like a fun deck, by the way. Defensive wall deck with Academy Rectors. I like it.
But then I got this out, and I was able to just turn Goblin sideways and do 20 damage with Mog Maniac in turn
Ah,
or in play.
so it
So
worked out for you.
it works out sometimes. Yeah, I've run into several situations where, for one reason or another, I couldn't just turn the creature sideways and to attack into my opponent's board state, but could tap them and do 10, 20 damage in the game. So there are actually some cases where it worked out better for me than just having only the traditional goblins. I'm showing the deck to people who are listening. It's pretty much a traditional pre-modern goblins deck. I'm running all the good pre-modern goblins: Goblin Lackey, Gem Palm Incinerator, Goblin Matron, Goblin Pile Driver, the Ringleader, the War Chief, the Fanatic, the Siege Gang Commander. But then I have some unusual goblins and the Mog Maniac and the Skirk Fire Marshal. So that deck has been fun to play, and I'm excited to keep working on it. Not sure what I'm doing with the mana base yet. I have 3 City of Traders, which I don't see much in Goblins decks very often. It's to try to ramp out my 5 casting cost Goblins a little bit faster. Siege Gag and Skirk, Fire
Mhm.
Marshal. More often I see Ancient Tomb,
Yeah, I
right,
was
in the
gonna, yeah,
Goblins deck. But if I'm going to use the Skirk Fire Marshal to deal 10 damage to everybody, to myself included, and my opponent,
right.
I don't want to purposely bring myself down.
Yeah, you want to keep a narrow life lead or whatever.
Exactly. Ideally, I want to. So I'm eschewing the Ancient Tombs.
Okay.
Trying to decide if I want to keep 3, if I want to take some out, go Wasteland. One of the benefits of running a monocolored deck in Premodern is you can go 4 Wasteland, 4 ports sometimes. Maybe I want to go more in the mana denial direction. I don't know. But that's what I've been doing, magic wise.
Oh, you have two
Also,
ports in right now. I was thinking it was four for some
I
reason.
got 2 ports in. I don't know why. It's just what's there right now. I got to work on my land base. I got some channel news too, Alex. Since the last time we talked, if nobody has unsubscribed, we are now over 500 subscribers. Let me hit the reload button.
Oh, fine. Oh, reload.
501. I think that
What?
happened yesterday or this morning. We are now over 500 subs. That's huge for the old Mage MTG. Alex, when we started, you're like, who the fuck's ever going to subscribe to this channel? Nobody. Why are we wasting our time with this? And I said, Alex, it's because I'm just enjoying it, just for fun. It's not for profit. It's not for anything else. Who cares? And you're like, that's right. Let's just try to build a community, maybe be part of a community. I have met people through this channel now.
You have.
We've reconnected with old high school friends because of this channel. So it's been fantastic, and it's been great to see over 500 people subscribe to us already. That's amazing. We're nobodies. We don't know how to produce content. We don't know how to broadcast. We're not interesting. We're not funny. We barely know how to play Magic. But for one reason
But
or
we're
another,
here.
we're here. We keep showing up, not necessarily on time. Episodes have been delayed lately, but there's ebbs and flows to life. Sometimes they're going to be pumping out every week. Sometimes they're going to be every 2 weeks. Right now, we're like once every month. That's just our current cadence. It's not necessarily a permanent cadence. But thank you to everybody who has subscribed. It's been fantastic. On to segment 1 now, Alex. Unless there's anything else you wanted to say
I don't
before we
think
get
so.
into
No, no.
before we get into the meat of the show. Let's get right into it then. Segment 1, Alex. It's been a long time since we've discussed a cycle of cards.
Okay.
We used to do episodes like this more often, just focus on a particular cycle that we weren't that familiar with from a Magic set in the pre-modern era, something we never dug into, something we never really played with in the past. Maybe it was a set that was released, after we had quit already. We want to learn more about the sets by going through the big cycles in the sets. Today, I want to talk about a cycle from Onslaught. This is a cycle that I think you and I aren't that really familiar with, and one that we never really played much with, if at all.
Correct.
Onslaught is a set that is full of cycles. According to MTG Wiki, the set features 13 different cycles.
What?
You got the avatars, you got the chain spells, which we did an episode on a long time ago. We got the charms, we got the crowns, we got the couriers, we got the cycling lands. It's a cycle of cyclers. You got another cycle of cyclers and the cycling spells. You have a third cycle of cyclers and the cycling trigger permanents. You have legendary pit fighter champions,
That's
which is the
radical.
kind of cycle that gets me psyched. You have a lords cycle, which includes Skirk Fire Marshal, which I am now playing.
Oh,
I've seen Ancestors Prophet, which is a cleric that's part of the Lord cycle, and Oath decks in the past. You have a tribal land cycle, which includes Daru Encampment. We've talked about that before. Unholy Grotto. We've talked about that before in the zombie episode. We discussed Daru Encampment in an old soldiers episode.
everyone knows Wirewood Lodge.
Everyone knows Wirewood Lodge. This is probably the least known one, maybe.
Is it?
I think maybe Goblin Burrows is. You never really see either one of these. Goblin Burrows doesn't really get played. It is tapped to add 1 colorless to your mana pool. Or pay 1 colorless, 1 red, tap, target goblin gets +2/+0 until end of turn.
Yeah,
Doesn't see play in pre-modern. It's just
just better stuff to do with goblins.
exactly if you're not gonna put a mountain in your goblins deck, it's probably gonna be one of the 3 lands that or one of the 4 lands that we talked about just previously. Wasteland, Rishadan Port, or it'll be something to ramp out some of your higher casting cost goblins like Ancient Tomb or City of Traders. I can, if I put together like an old frame Goblins Commander deck, this would definitely go in just for fun. You got to put in a Goblin themes land into like your Goblin Singleton Commander deck.
Hmm.
Don't really see it in pre-modern. Wirewood Lodge, I don't see in pre-modern either. I don't even remember what it does.
I don't see it in decks really, but for some reason I'm really familiar with it. And it comes up like when I do searches for certain cards, or like I guess
Oh,
maybe just like stuff with elves, you know?
I love this because I love birch trees, Alex. And this is beautiful birch tree art. I bought a card the other day just because it had birch tree art in it. And it was an elf card, and this makes me wonder: do the Wirewood elves live in a birch forest?
Mm. Getting deep now. Deep
Wirewood
lore.
Lodge, tap, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, or pay 1 green, tap to untap target elf. That could be good,
Yeah.
especially like a Well Wisher. Think of the amount of life
Yeah, that's what I was
you
gonna
could.
say. There's a couple elves that
Okay.
yeah have an effect based on how many other elves you have in play. There's one that like pumps creatures based on the number of elves.
Priest of Titania, generate even more mana.
Oh yeah, there
Can
you
already
go.
generate so much mana in the elf deck, though. Maybe this is
Yeah,
just, I feel like this is probably just redundant for what elves can
might be.
already do.
Might be.
You already
Anyway,
won.
off topic. We went off on tangent there.
You already run Quirion Ranger, which is return a land to your hand to
Forest,
untap a
yeah,
target
to
elf, return a
untap.
forest. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you already have 4 creatures that can do the untap target
true.
elf
Good
thing.
point. Yeah. So there was a cycle of crowns in there. I didn't know that was a thing either. That's pretty cool.
I bought 2 crowns yesterday. No, 4
Really?
crowns yesterday, Alex. I was digging through some bulk bins. I bought
A lot
2.
of, a lot of crowns.
I bought 2 Crown of Ascensions, and I bought 2 crowns of Fury.
Okay.
But we're not here to talk about the crown cycle today, Alex. We're not here to talk about the tribal land cycle. We're here to talk about the word cycle. That's what you see right here. There are 5 word spells, 1 in each color. That's typically how the cycles work. Each is a rare enchantment that may be activated for 1 colorless to allow their controller to replace their next draw with an effect. Those word spells are Words of Worship in white, Words of Wind in blue, Words of Waste in black, Words of War in red, and Words of Wilding in green. And we're going to start with the red word spell, Words of War, Alex. Words of War.
Okay.
Words of War is 2 colorless, 1 red. First printed in Onslaught. It is also in the list. Current market price of 49 cents. It's an enchantment. I don't know if I said that yet. And you can pay 1 colorless, colon. The next time you would draw a card this turn, Words of War deals 2 damage to target creature or player.
Okay.
This one I think is great. Just on its face, it seems really good to me. I like the versatility of it. It's direct damage either to the face or to a creature permanent on the board.
Good finisher.
It's a good finisher. It's reminiscent of Stormbind, which is an Ice Age favorite of mine, but instead of discarding a card to deal damage, you deal damage instead of drawing a card. So it essentially replaces your draw or a draw for the turn with an effect, which means Words of War, in addition to the other word spells in the cycle, are replacement effect cards. So Words of War and all the word spells are what are known as draw replacement effects. And MTG Wiki has a little write-up on replacement effects. If you want to get deep into how to play these cards, understand all the rules, You can see all the mentions of replacement effects and how they work in the comprehensive rules document. There's a lot to learn here. I'm seeing planeswalkers. I can just ignore all of that stuff because I play Premodern, but there's still a lot to learn. But essentially, replacement effects in general are a type of continuous effect that watches for one event to happen. In the case of draw replacement effects, they look for a draw to occur, and then they replace it entirely with another event. In the case of Words of War, that other event is 2 damage to your opponent or to a creature. The wording of these effects use instead or as blank happens or blank permanent enters the battlefield to indicate that they are replacement effects. And there are, as you can imagine, different ways to exploit these replacement effects and draw replacement effects in particular. In Premodern, I think the most common ways to exploit them are to run them with Sylvan Library or Enchantress cards. There are Gothi Enchantress, Enchantress of Presence. And we will see that in some of the decks that we're going to review that run these cards. So the first deck I want to talk about runs Words of War.
I was going
And
to
this,
ask if the Sam Black deck I thought had this in it.
yes, yeah. There are a couple actually. Well, this is the only one. This is the only Sam Black deck we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about another one though that was very similar to a deck
Oh,
that
okay.
Sam Black also wrote about. This one, running Words of War, is Naya Enchantress, designed and played by Sam Black. He played this particular version in 2024 from the Vault Premodern 4 Midwest Regional Championships. He came second place out of 30. And it runs 4 Argothian Enchantresses, 3 Gaia's Blessings, 1 Replenish, 4 Swords to Plowshares, and then a bevy of enchantments, which is what you expect from Enchantress deck. 4 Enchantresses Presence, 1 Karmic Justice, 3 Myriad Guile, 4 Seal of Cleansing, 4 Seal of Fire, a Solitary Confinement, which is a card that I hate. Not because it's not great, because it annoys the shit out of me. 4 Sterling Grove, only when Ryan plays it, and I can't do anything to him. And I was just about to attack you for lethal with my shadow creature, and now you've played a stupid Solitary Confinement, and you're going to draw 55 cards. So it doesn't matter that you have to discard 1 every turn to your Solitary Confinement. So I'm just going to scoop 1 Sylvan Library, 1 Words of War, and then a fantastic Naya land base. 2 Grand Colosseums. I play Grand Coliseum because Sam Black told me to. And I was going to say, I don't think for myself, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I do, but sometimes I let Sam Black do my magic thinking for me. I wonder if he still runs Grand Coliseum. It's also just a good card, you know? And 3 color land bases are difficult in Premodern. This is a perfectly reasonable card to run, especially if you don't consistently have something you want to be playing on turn 1 every turn. Who cares if it comes into play tapped? So the finisher in this deck, it's just Words of War. And it's just 1 copy.
Okay.
And I was reading it was an article that we talked about a while back, written by Sam Black. And he was talking about Enchantress decks, and he said he thinks people usually run too many win cons in his Enchantress decks. And not only does he have just 1 win con here, it's just 1 copy of that win con. Very different than how I build decks, but there's some redundancy built in here too. If somebody gets rid of it, you have Gaia's Blessings to get it back into your deck potentially. You have Replenish to bring it from the graveyard if it's been disenchanted to get it back into play. You also have First Sterling Groves in here. You know, they can help you tutor for the Words of War, but they can also help you protect a Words of War.
Okay. Are there any other tutor effects besides the Sterling Grove? Just effects?
No other tutor effects, but
Okay.
you tend to need those a lot
So
less. in
My
these
follow
Enchantress decks where you're able to draw so many
Yeah,
cards.
yeah, of course. Yeah. So my follow-up question is now the way that Words of War works, if you have no cards left in your library, can you use it then to prevent yourself from having to draw a card and losing the game? So, like, say the last card in your library is Words of War, and you draw it, and then you go and use it. You do something else to draw more cards, but you wouldn't have to draw them because it would deal the damage instead of you drawing them. So, would it keep you from losing the game?
I don't know the answer to that, Alex.
Okay.
You asked the, it felt like I was not expecting that
I thought you
question.
were going to say that's exactly how the deck works.
No, I don't think that's how the deck works. I think the
Okay.
deck works like he just draws a bunch of cards with his Enchantress effects, and then he does the damage with
It
Words of
says the
War.
next time you would draw a card. I don't
You
know if
would
there's
draw a
been a
card.
errata, but that makes me think that you don't have to draw the card. And you don't lose until you're supposed to draw a card, right?
You don't have to draw the card. You don't have to draw the card. So,
Yeah.
you know, Words of War, you have a Sylvan Library here. So here he runs the two card draw engines that you like to run, that you should run with the words cards. You have your Enchantress effects, your Enchantress's Presence, and your Agartha Enchantress to draw
Mhm.
cards. He also runs Sylvan Library. These are the two things that I think are best to run with the words card. The Enchantress effects, of course, you play an enchantment and then you draw a card for however many Enchantress effects you have out. Let's say you have two Argothi Enchantresses on the board. You have a Words of War on the board. You play one Seal of Fire. Now you can draw two cards. If you have two mana to feed into the Words of War, you can choose to not draw those two cards, tap the two mana, feed it into Words of War, and instead deal 4 damage, spread out however you choose, amongst
Yeah.
creatures
Which is
and your
huge.
opponent. So you don't have to draw the cards. That's
Yeah.
the card draw has been replaced by the damage effect of Words of War. You could also do that every turn if you have a Sylvan Library out. Sylvan Library, you may draw 2 extra cards during your draw phase. Then either put 2 of the cards drawn this turn back on top of your library or lose 4 lives per card, not replaced. I'm reading the old Legends
Yeah. I haven't
text.
said that. It's so weird.
So you draw your card for turn. You may draw 2 extra cards for the Sylvan Library. Instead, if I'm thinking about this correctly, you can choose to pay, again, feed 2 mana into Words of War. Instead of drawing those 2 extra cards, you can do 4 damage through Words of War.
And you wouldn't even have to lose the life then, right?
Correct, because you haven't drawn the cards.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how I understand
Okay.
this
Yeah, that's insane.
interaction. It may be, maybe I'm thinking of it in the wrong way and it's not as broken as I think it is, but I believe that it is the way that it works. You may draw 2 extra cards because the putting them back or giving the life says you may draw 2 extra cards. Then either if you choose not to draw the 2 extra cards, I don't think you have to worry about the then either put them back or lose the life.
Hmm.
But now if you're in a case where you literally have no more cards left in your deck, so untap, upkeep, draw. You go to draw. I don't know if there's some sort of state-based action that checks for whether or not you have a card there available to draw. And if you don't, you automatically lose the game. Or if you're able to replace that draw uh, and feed it into the words cards instead, and you say, "Oh, I didn't draw a card, but I didn't try to draw a card, so it doesn't matter."
Yeah.
I don't actually know.
Interesting. Okay.
I'd have to, I'd have to look that up.
Hmm.
I would have to go back to the MTG wiki and start looking through all of these replacement effects, bullet points in the comprehensive rules. I didn't even think of that uh, possibility. But this is the Naya Enchantress deck. I like it very much. He runs a single win con with the 2 engines that you can use to feed draw replacement effects into the Words of War card. He runs Enchantress cards and the Sylvan Library. I've also seen Words of War in a Pyrostatic War brew. And as far as I know, an untested brew that Martin Berlin wrote about in a blog post on the premodernmagic.com blog. It was all about Sylvan Library brews. So here he was talking about use of Words of War in a deck running Sylvan Libraries. This one was a riff on Pyrostatic Oath. Oh man, this is all broken. Let's see if these show up. There we go. A riff on Pyrostatic Oath, which is a style of deck people had played before. It is built around Pyrostatic Pillar. It's essentially a style of burn deck that aims to burn out opponents with some of your typical burn spells like Lightning Bolt, Seal of Fire, etc., etc., as well as some burn enchantments and burn creatures. The Words of War is the burn enchantment in this deck. The burn creature is Bloodfire Colossus. So the deck is 4 Lightning Bolts, 4 Pyrostatic Pillar.
And that's an enchantment too.
It is an enchantment. It's 1 colorless, 1 red. Yeah, so there are multiple burn enchantments in this card, or in this deck. It's 1 colorless, 1 red. Enchantment, whenever a player plays a spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, Pyrostatic Pillar deals 2 damage to that player. So this punishes a deck, it really punishes fast decks full of low casting cost spells, which many of the decks are full. Many of the best decks are full. So that's a good thing to want to punish.
Yeah, I like this card. I'm not sure if I saw it and forgot about it, but I'm not familiar with it, and I like it.
And it's not expensive. 4 Oath of Druids, which I wasn't expecting to see in a deck like this. 2 Seal of Fire, 2 Curse Scrolls, 2 Gaia's Blessings, 2 Naturalize. But then when you get to the next card, the Oath of Druids makes sense now. 2 Bloodfire Colossus. So it's the only creature in this deck. So if Oath is triggered, you're going to start turning cards over and put them in your graveyard until you hit a Bloodfire Colossus. So 6 colorless, 2 red, 6/6 creature giant. Pay 1 red, sacrifice it. It deals 6 damage to each creature and each player. So every time this is oathed out, most of the time you're going to sacrifice it, and it's going to clear every creature off the board most of the time, and do 6 damage to your opponent. He also runs 2 Lightning Blasts, 3 Pyrokinesis, 3 Sylvan Libraries, 3 Words of War. So you have your Sylvan Words of War combo. And then it's just man lands. So you have a creature that you can't attack with that will survive the Bloodfire Colossus blast. 4 Treetop Villages and 4 Mishra's Factories. I like Words of War, especially in this deck. It seems like a lovely addition to this deck, this Pyrostatic Pillar style of deck, because you have a way of dealing repeatable damage without casting your own burn spells, which when you cast them, that's gonna cause you to take damage from the Pyrostatic Pillar as well. So that's a really nice way to get around this, to burn your opponent out without taking Pyrostatic Pillar damage yourself.
Yeah. And then do you think the lightning bolts are just for like before you get the Pyrostatic Pillar down, or if you like really need to get rid of something and don't mind taking the 2 damage?
I think it's probably to like help control the board state.
Yeah.
Yeah, to like kill, problematic turn 1 creatures.
Yeah.
Like Goblin Lackey, for instance. Lightning Bolt. You got your Lightning Bolt, you got your Seal of Fire, you got your Pyrokinesis to do those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's to provide some sort of control element. But then also, if you just happen to get your opponent down further in life than you are, you could burn them with the bolt and not care so much about the Pyrostatic Pillar damage you're taking. It can also double as a finisher. So I think it probably serves both those roles. Control the board state, double as a finisher. But the Words of War is really nice in here, especially combo with the Sylvan. You could do a lot of damage without triggering the pillar. I like this.
And
I
then
like this
since you're
deck.
not drawing cards because of the Words of War, that helps Cursed Scroll still work, right? Am I thinking about that right?
Yeah, you could just, I mean, you could just have your one, or no cards in your hand. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't have to keep putting more things into your hand, which could potentially reduce the effectiveness of the cursed scroll because
Yeah. And the Cursed Scroll helps you deal damage without casting spells.
without
Without
casting
being
spells.
affected by the Pyrostatic Pillar. I like this. This is cool.
I like this too, and it's pretty easy to put together. I would just have to buy the Pyrostatic Pillars. I would have to buy the Bloodfire Colossus. I don't think either one of those are expensive at all. I'd be shocked if they were.
I remember a creature that has Hellion in its name that's similar to that big red 6/6.
Crater Hoof Hellion.
It might be, yeah, sounds like it, something.
Well, there's a Crater Hoof Behemoth. It might
There's a
just be.
behemoth. Let me look for
There is no Crater Hoof Hellion.
Premodern.
I'm going to
Find
go
this
to advanced search. I'm going to type in.
dinosaur type of stuff.
I'm going to type in Hellion. I'm going to go Premodern. Premodern legal. It's a red card.
Yep. Am I spelling Hellion wrong?
I was so
Crater
close.
Hellion.
Crater
Okay.
Hellion. From Urza Saga. 4 colorless, 2 red, 6/6 Echo. When Crater Hellion comes into play, it deals 4 damage to each other creature. So
Okay.
less damage and just creature wipe
Okay. So
instead
not as
of
good as
creature and player.
that one.
Yeah. But this is just something that Martin Berlin brewed up in this Premodern blog post and this Premodern Magic blog post when he was thinking about what to do post land tax ban. You don't have land tax to use anymore in your Parfait decks, but what if you tried building different decks around Sylvan Library? That brought him at some point to the word spells, and this is the deck he came up with for Words of War. He mentioned in here that it has not been really tested. It was just a brew, quick little brew he came up with. But
Oh, okay.
I want to put it together because it seems pretty fun. Well, he said right
Definitely
here, the
want to
brews.
try playing
Uh,
with the pillars in some sort of, yeah, like different red deck where I'm, playing defensively or playing control or like,
yeah,
that might be fun. What was the big creature again? I forgot what it was called.
Bloodfire Colossus.
A lot. Okay.
Bloodfire Colossus, a rare from Apocalypse.
I'm gonna put that in my considering for my sneak attack deck.
Okay. Okay. He said right here, the brews. I'm not a fan of posting completely untested decks, but here we are. So take the following list with a grain of salt. Consider them as sketches to develop further. Here we are talking about them on the Old Mage MTG podcast. I do want to try to develop this further, or at least play it, because it seems fun. It's fairly budget. Most of the expensive cards I have already, so it's budget for me now at this point because I have Wooded Foothills. I don't have a Bloodstained Mire, but that's the next fetch lands. Next
You have
fetch
Oath?
land place that I want to start looking into. I do have Oath.
Okay.
I bought Oath of Druids a long time ago. I have 2 Sylvan libraries. I would need one more Sylvan. I have my Curse Scroll playset. Curse Scrolls just slowly move their way back up to like over $20.
I think I have one. Nuts.
It was very cheap for a long time. So those are a couple Words of War brews around Enchantress and Sylvan Library, or just Sylvan Library. The next word spell that I want to talk about today on the show is Words of Worship. Words of Worship. It is 2 colorless, 1 white enchantment. It states pay 1 colorless, colon. The next time you would draw a card this turn, you gain 5 life instead. First and only printing of this card was in Onslaught. Current market price is $1.73. Never been reprinted. If anybody out there wants to start buying this up until it gets like $50, now would be a perfect time to do it because my playset just arrived. I already got them for $1. Not that it would matter because it's not like I'm going to sell it. just going to sit there. Don't make me feel good, though. It's strong in control lists. It helps keep you around long enough to establish control over your board. Can help you outlast burn decks. Help you outlast weenie decks that just come at you turning creatures sideways. I've seen it primarily in Parfait decks, Parfait style decks in Premodern. And one such example is this Parfait deck. Finished in 22nd place out of a pool of 203 players at the 2024 European Premodern Championship. It was played by Josef Vlach. And this was post land tax ban, so you're not going to see any land tax in this deck.
Oh, okay.
It runs an Ancestral Chosen, which earlier when I was looking at the Lords, was it the Lords? When we were talking about the different cycles. Remember we were talking about the different cycles in Onslaught. And I said, oh, I know this one. It's in Parfait decks or Oath decks often. I was confusing it with this creature. So I don't actually know what that Lord was.
Oh, okay.
I was confusing it with Ancestors Chosen, which is 5 colorless, 2 white, 4/4. Creature Cleric from Judgment. First strike. When it comes into play, you gain 1 life for each card in your graveyard. You would often see this in Oath decks. You're Oath and Oath and Oath and Oath and putting things into your graveyard. Ancestors Chosen gets flipped, and you gain a bunch of life. It runs a Shard Phoenix. When Shard Phoenix comes into play, no, sorry. When you sacrifice Shard Phoenix, it deals 2 damage to each creature without flying. So it's almost like a limited Pyro class. That's a way to clear out a horde of tiny problematic creatures. Sorceries, it runs 2 Armageddon, 4 Duress, 2 Guy's Blessing, 11 Instants, 2 Enlightened Tutor, 4 Mana Leaks, 1 Ray of Revelation, 4 Swords to Plowshares. Artifacts, you have 3 Mox Diamonds, 2 Phyrexian Furnace. Enchantments, you have an Aura of Silence, 3 Oath of Druids. This is an Oath deck. 2 Seal of Cleansing, 3 Sylvan Library, 1 Words of War, and 1 Words of Wisdom. So this is not just an Oath deck, it's also a Sylvan Library / Words spell deck. Here, again, we have a single finisher, and we have a single copy of that finisher. I suppose if you needed to, you could finish also with Ancestors Chosen and Shard Phoenix, although that's not really what they're in here for. But it is a 4/4 creature and a 2/2 flyer, so you could attack. You could attack and kill your opponent with those as well. Also with your 3 treetop villages. He has 3 treetop villages in his land base. But I would imagine Words of War is the primary finisher, and then you have your 1 copy of Words of Worship to help keep you alive until you can deliver the final blow with your Words of War, or either, slowly pinging them away with your treetop village or your flying Shard Phoenix.
Okay.
Parfait deck. Good stuff deck. Very similar to the decks we used to see when people were doing land tax, Scroll Rack, Mox Diamond, Oath, and a lot of these same cards.
Yeah, I noticed, a lot of the usual suspects there.
Usual suspects. I've also seen, what were you going to say?
I was going to give you an update, but go ahead with your thought first.
There's also a spicier version of Premodern Parfait that I've seen playing Words of Worship. This one is a little bit more fun, for me at least. Just personal preference. This one was played by Mike Packer, the 2024 LobsterCon Premodern side event. You have the same creature package.
So yeah, still Shard Phoenix, okay.
1 Ancestors Chosen, 1 Shard Phoenix. Shard Phoenix, it just gets rid of, it gets rid of all the goblins, it gets rid of all the elves, for the most part. Unless they have a 2/2 goblin that's now pumped with their Goblin King. I always forget now these days. Goblin King is 2/2, right? But does it give itself +1/+1?
I don't think so.
Always forget.
Yeah,
Is it a
you're
goblin?
catching me off guard with that one now because I can't remember.
Is it a goblin or a lord? You can look that
By the
up.
way, what I was starting to say was Lords is discontinued, and it looks like Lords have all had their names changed to different things, their types changed. So The
Well,
card
that
was
maybe
Ancestors Prophet that you were thinking of, and now it's just a human cleric.
is that an onslaught card?
Yeah.
Then
You
it
get
was. Then it
tap
was Ancestors.
5 untapped clerics to gain 10 life.
Ah, of course. It's in the same cycle as Skirk Fire Marshal. They're all tap 5 of something and then something happens.
Yeah.
But if Lord doesn't exist anymore, that means Goblin King's probably a goblin. And it probably gives itself +1/+1. Or does Goblin King actually say anywhere on its text that it doesn't give itself +1/+1?
I think it
This
says other goblins.
it might say other. I should
Yeah, it
know this
says now
shit.
it just says creature goblin, other goblins
Other
get +1
goblins.
+1.
And it is 2/2, correct?
Yeah, it's 2/2.
So Shard Phoenix will take that out. Anyway,
Lickety
Shard,
split.
Shard, what'd you say?
You said it would take it out, and it sounded like you were going to say something else, and I said lickety split.
Lickety split. Shard Phoenix is 4 colorless, 1 red, 2/2 flying. But most of the time you don't hard cast it and you oath it out in these decks. You know, you're playing elves, you're playing goblins, they put out a whole bunch of creatures, it's going to trigger your oath.
Yep.
Shard Phoenix goes down, then you sacrifice it to deal 2 damage to each creature without flying. Wipe out their horde. And then it's reusable because you can also play 3 red and then put Shard Phoenix into your hand. Use this ability only if Shard Phoenix is in your graveyard and only during your upkeep. So it's a recurable pyroclasm for creatures on the ground, which is why it was always in these Parfait style decks. You get many uses out of it. Sorceries, 2 Armageddon, 3 Guys Blessings. Instants, 1 Enlightened Tutor, 2 Factor Fission, 2 Impulse, 4 Swords of Plowshares. Artifacts, 6, 2 Mox Diamond, 3 Scroll Rack, 1 Tormod's Crypt. So here we're seeing Scroll Rack without the land tax. He says, I don't need no land tax. The Scroll Rack still does some work. Doesn't need to be totally broken for me to play it. And then you have a lot of enchantments, 1 Aura of Silence, 4 Oath of Druids, 2 Seal of Cleansing, and then you have your 3 Sylvan Library and your Words of Worship. So you have your Sylvan Words combo. And then 1 Zur's Weirdy. 1 Zur's Weirdy.
Oh, okay.
I love a deck from Premodern that features an Ice Age rare, a goofy Ice Age rare. Zur's Weirding has one of the more powerful goofy Ice Age rares, and it has fantastic art. And Zur's in it. And you almost get to look up his robe. You know what I'm saying? Look at
I
that.
do know what you're saying.
His bits are almost right in your face. So Zur's Weirding, for those who don't remember, 3 colorless, 1 blue, enchantment. All players play with the cards in their hands face up on the table. Whenever any player draws a card, any other player may pay 2 life to force the drawing player to discard that card. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. So when you have a Parfait style deck like this, that's allowing you to oath into Ancestors Chosen, where you then gain 1 life for each card in your graveyard, which will probably, most of the time, more often than not, give you a lot of life. Because when that oath triggers, you're probably going to have to turn over quite a few cards before you get to the Ancestor Chosen. So you have life gain there. The Parfait style deck that runs this Sylvan Library Words of Worship combo, this allows you to gain a lot of life. Replace the Sylvan draw effects with activation of the Words of Worship, gain 5, 10, 15 life. When you're running a deck that has that much life gain, if you can stick this Zur's Weirding, you can sort through your deck, find that Zur's Weirding, get it on the board. You can basically ensure that your opponent never draws another useful card.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to give those 2 life up easy.
And you can gain, yeah, 5 life a turn, even if you're not doing anything else, even if you don't have the Sylvan Library.
Exactly. 1 activation of Words of Worship is going to allow you to prevent your opponent from drawing 2 cards, 2.5 cards, 2.5 cards.
Wow.
So I like this. It's a very fun Parfait style deck. I like anything that runs Zur's Weird.
these decks are still just so confusing to me when I see them on paper because I'm like, what if you don't get the card you want when you want it, you know? But I guess they're just designed so that whichever, I mean, there's only two creatures that are going to stop all of your draws. So I guess
Yeah.
you just don't care which one you get. Like it's always good to have either one.
You mean Oath? You
Yeah,
mean like whatever you, is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Yeah, pretty much. It's always good to have either one.
I guess. Okay.
It's always good to have either one. Uh, yeah, what if you don't draw what you want? What if you don't get what you want? Well, there's no Sterling Groves in here. And considering what you really want are these different enchantments, Zur's Weirding, Oath, Words. I'm a little bit surprised not to see any Sterling Groves in here because those would be tutors for your enchantments. They also protect your enchantments.
Hmm.
He runs just one Enlightened Tutor. No counter magic at all. But you do have Factor Fiction. You do have Impulse. These help you find the things that you need a little
Sure.
bit
Yeah.
faster. And, they used to be able to run Lantac Scroll Rack, which was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry that often about not finding what you want. He doesn't have that combination anymore, but he does still have Scroll Rack, which does help you find what you want a little bit faster.
True.
So he has one tutor effect and then what, 7 spells that help you find what you want a little bit
Yeah.
faster.
Well, and the
Factor
Sylvan
Fiction,
Libraries.
Impulse, Scroll Rack. Oh, of course, and the Sylvan Libraries.
Yeah. So there's a
And
lot in there to help you. Yeah.
yes, and
Set.
I'm forgetting about the fact that if you have life gain, let's say you have a Words of Worship out and you're able to utilize that a little bit. You don't have the Sylvan, but you can still maybe gain 5 life from it or whatever. Or you've oathed into an Ancestor's Chosen and gained 20 life, let's say. When you stick that Sylvan, you have a lot of life to give up to draw those extra cards.
True.
You gained 20 life from an Oath activation and an Ancestor's Chosen to hit the ground. Next turn, you play a Sylvan. Turn after that, draw 3 cards. Who gives a shit? Lose 8 life. Who gives a fuck, Alex?
I just
So,
get worried that
yeah,
your only two creatures are the last two cards in your deck, like in your library, You have
I get
your
worried.
full library, but then I guess you gain like 50 life from the
Then you gain
Ancestors
50
Chosen.
life. Then you gain 50 life.
You know,
And you've also put a Gaia's Blessing into your
right,
graveyard
yeah.
from
So
that
you're
Oath
gonna make your
activation.
deck 3 cards bigger
So
now. And then
everything, not 3 cards bigger. Well, if Gaia's Blessing is if put into your graveyard from your library, you
oh
shuffle
yeah,
your
yeah,
whole
yeah, yeah,
graveyard in your
yeah.
library.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
so
that's
if
what
it's
you're doing when you
exactly.
oath through it, when you mill it. Yeah.
So yeah, it's if you cast it, you get to choose 3 target cards from your graveyard, put them back in your library. Remember, if it's put in there from an oath, you basically get to shuffle everything up and do
Right.
it all
Yeah, yeah.
over again.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, this is why we're not good Magic players, Alex. We're not
Yeah.
good with probabilities. You're like,
Well, like
what
I said, I know
if?
it's super good. It's just nerd when you look at it on paper, it's just weird. But once you see it in play, once you see one of these decks like working, it's like,
I
damn.
have to see it. Yeah. When I watch it happen, when I listen to people who are better at Magic than me,
Hmm.
I start to get it. I still don't have any experience piloting these type of things, so I'd be terrible with it. If I brought this to the LobsterCon pre-modern side event,
You need some practice probably, yeah, to figure out,
I would not have finished 9th place out of the pool of 83 players, which is where Mike Packer finished. I would have been somewhere probably, I don't want to say last. Somebody, somebody probably would have had like diarrhea halfway through the event and like just had to forfeit all their games,
Yeah.
all their remaining games. So they would have placed lower than me, but I wouldn't have placed 9th unless maybe if I also had diarrhea. If I brought this Parfait deck to the 2024 LobsterCon pre-modern side event and I got diarrhea in like the first round, then I could place last.
Well, now you know an important part of your strategy is to take stomach
Don't
calming
get diarrhea.
medicines, and that'll increase your win rate by like 50%.
Could I get diarrhea? Uh, the odds are high. I have an unusual.
Okay.
I have a complicated gastrointestinal history.
I want to give you an update that I was trying to read while you were talking earlier. Okay, first off, if there are no cards in a player's library, and oh, I missed it. All right, I lost it. It says if you are supposed to draw the card and you can't, is when you lose, but it doesn't happen until the next time a player would receive priority. So it's just after that. And then the other thing that it says is some effects replace card draws. An
Uh-huh.
effect that replaces a card draw is applied even if no cards could be drawn because there are no cards in the affected player's library. So yeah, it seems to me like you could do that. Maybe one of the listeners knows for sure.
So based on what you just read, if you had no cards in your library, you still get the option to replace the draw.
Think so?
So you're telling me you could just every turn pay a colorless and then not lose the game because you had no cards in
Yeah,
your
yeah, I think. Like I said,
Okay.
someone else correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, if that's correct, there's a whole other win con for the for the word spells and draw replacement effects.
Yeah.
You just if you could just stay alive, eventually your opponent will run out of cards to draw.
Hmm.
And you will also have no cards to draw, but you just replace the draw. That'd be interesting. Based on what you just read to me, I think
It sounds right. Yeah.
that's the case. What number is that rule? I'm
That
assuming you're
rule
reading
is 121.6,
121.6.
121.6a.
Okay, I already forgot that. Perfect. 121.6a. Now I forgot it actually. And then also, oh, there's another thing, Alex. I forgot to link this one. There's a deck. So those are the two Parfait decks designed by people who know what they're doing. Where we see these cards. Let me do this real quick. Do that. So what else can you do with Words of Worship? I'm putting into a green-white life gain deck I'm trying to build. It's a deck I started brewing just because I wanted to play Heroes Reunion. So if you look at some of these cards and you're like, why is that card in there? This card's in here because this is why I'm building the deck. This is what I do. I don't always try to build the very best version of everything. Sometimes I just like to screw around. Sometimes I just like to play in the sandbox. Sometimes I see a card and I say, I want to build a deck with that card in it. How can I try to make a decent deck that features this card? So in this case, the card is Heroes Reunion. 1 green, 1 white, instant. Target player gains 7 life. It's Eladamri and Gerard, shaking hands. It's kind of evolved into a Mirari's Wake Decree of Justice deck. So this is how I kill people. Why is Mirari's Wake in here? Because this is also a card that I wanted to play. I saw several cards when we made our episodes on gold cards and pre-modern, the best gold cards of pre-modern. Mirari's Wake has always kind of spoken to me. Heroes Reunion spoke to me when we did that episode. I'm like, I want to make a deck. I want to brew a deck that features both of these cards, Heroes Reunion, Mirari's Wake. Because Mirari's Wake is in here, I decided to try to make this a Decree of Justice deck. You get a Wake out, then you cast a huge Decree. That's how you win the game. So basically, trying to win the game with Mirari's Wake and a big Decree, but that takes a lot of time. Mirari's Wake is enchantment. It's 3 colorless, 1 green, 1 white. This is not the fastest way to win a game of Magic. So I'm trying to also add some life gain into this deck to try to buy myself the time I need to play the big Decree, fueled by Mirari's Wake. So I have Heroes Reunions, and then I have some life gain creatures. Exalted Angel, Ravenous Baloth. I've also added Words of Worship in here. So I'm trying to go this route now. Trying to do the Sylvan Library Words of Worship combo to gain a whole bunch of life. My goal is my hope is that I can gain so much life that almost no matter what my opponent is throwing my way, I can stay alive until I can stick a wake and use it to fuel a huge Decree of Justice. Is it going well? No, not going well so far. It's a very slow deck. I used to also run Mirari and Bosium Strip, and I was using those to try to double up on my Heroes Reunion or to recast my Heroes Reunion, or to double up on my swords and recast my swords or the Naturalize. But they're also high casting cost cards or cards that need a lot of mana to get going. Mirari was 5 colorless, Bosium Strip is 3 colorless, and you need to tap it and pay 3 colorless to activate it. Then you still need the mana to cast the card. So they were also very slow. So everything in the deck was just very slow. If I was playing against a Goblins deck or playing against even just a general mid-range deck that was consistently putting out creatures turns 2, 3, and 4, I was just dead before I could do anything. I was trying to Wrath early and often, play Swords to Plowshares, but still that often wasn't enough. So I just started adding some other things to like try to give me something to do turns 3, turns 4, put some more creatures in. I started running 4 Call of the Herds. And then I put in Windborn Muse. I'm not sure if this is going to stay or not. 3 colorless, 1 white, 2, 3 flying. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 colorless for each creature attacking.
Okay.
So Call of the Herd, Windburn Muse are things to just get some creatures on the board to act as blockers, or in the case of Windborn Muse, to just slow down my opponent's attacks. But still, it's been too slow to work consistently. I'm trying to work on it. Very little experience playing with it. It'll evolve.
With the Call of the Herds, maybe take a look at your available beasts, and you might want to add another beast to work with the Baloth ability.
Oh, could this be a beast attack deck, Alex?
Yeah, you could pump up the beasts in here.
The problem is with the beast attack, it's a flashback card, I think, just like Call of the Herd. You put out a 4/4 beast or something, you can flash it out to put out
Oh,
another beast token.
you were talking
I
about a specific card. I thought you were
yeah,
just talking about the theme of the deck.
no, I think beast attack. The
Beast
problem,
attack? I don't know that card.
yeah, the problem with beast attack though is it's also high mana. So, yeah, Odyssey. Yeah, it's
Oh,
2, 3, 4,
yeah,
5
5 instant to
to
create a beast.
cast.
Interesting.
Put a 4/4 green beast creature token, and then flashback for 5, another beast
Maybe
token.
I should play that in my beasts deck.
So it is more that I could sack to the Baloth to gain life, but it's also slow. I'm being killed before I'm able to do any of
Yeah.
my things,
I
Alex.
was thinking about, replacing the Call of the Herd with a similar mana value beast.
I get it. Okay.
But I can't remember exactly what's available.
I don't either. I don't know the beast card pool. Because yes, Ravenous Baloth is not sacrificed Baloth, gain 4 life. It is sacrificed a beast, you gain 4 life. Are there 1 and 2 cast? What are the 1 and 2 casting cost beasts out there? Let's look into this real quick. Little bit of
There's a fair amount that aren't great because I had to
little
look
bit
through
of
beasts for
tangent.
my deck.
Beast. Uh Mana cost? No, mana value equal to or less than 2. Let's go 3. Call of Herds 3. Premodern legal. Search. What is this? What did I do wrong? Why am I looking at Abeyance Abbey Matron? What did I do wrong, Alex? Did I forget to type in beast? Did I forget to is beast? Maybe I didn't save that. There we go. Okay. Okay. I like Anurid Swarm Snapper. I actually put this in a very early Stompy deck that I built
I remember that, yeah.
when we first started playing Premodern, and I'm like, I need something to block flyers, and then I realized nobody plays flyers in Premodern, and then I was like, I should just start playing flyers all the time. But it's two colors, 1 green, 1 4. It can block flyers. You could pay 1 colorless and 1 green, and it can block an additional creature this turn. So I could block like a 2/2 and a 1/1. Anurid Scavenger, pro black. Anurid Brush Hopper. This is often seen in threshold decks. Discard 2 cards from your hand, remove it from the game, return it to play under its owner's control at end of turn. Not terrible.
Yep. I think the
Don't
only
know
one I
what.
have that's a 3 casting cost in my deck is the Hunting Moa, and I don't think that helps you really. That's not the
Anurid
right card.
Bark Rippers, 3 for 2/2. Branch Snap Lorien, 4/1 Trample Morph for 2 green, 1 colorless. Hunting Moa, 2 colorless, 1 green, 3/2. Krosan War Chief is only 2 colorless, 1 green, 2/2. Hmm. I could play Phyrexian War Beast. Sky Shroud Ridgeback. I do like that. But not if I want to have like a blocker sit around because it fades, fading too. I like Sky
Right.
Shroud Ridgeback for just like straight up Stompy. Yeah, not a lot of great options for me here. Uh, oh well.
Oh well.
I gotta think about it. Gotta think about it. But that's what I'm doing with Words of Worship. I put it into my green-white life gain deck. And I'm trying to use the Sylvan Library Words of Worship combo in addition to Heroes Reunion to try to keep me alive long enough that I can cast a big motherfucking Decree of Justice and decree all over your ass. I need to get Justice. Are there Justice Swords to Plowshares? I have Hammer Swords to Plowshares, and I have Justice Lightning Bolts from the Pro Tour collection with the last name signed. Did Hammer does have Swords to Plowshares, and I have them right over there. I just remembered. No, shit, that's not what I want though. I want Justice Swords to Plowshares. I want Justice Swords to Plowshares for my Decree of Justice deck. I don't know if those exist.
Like you could
Anyways,
still, I'm still thinking you could play this like as like a completely passive deck. You don't need to mess with the decrees of justice or any of your offensive creatures. You don't really need a win condition other than just having a bunch of life and not running out of cards.
I could. I could just especially now if what you read to me 5 minutes ago is
If that
true,
works. Yeah.
I could just run my opponent out of cards.
Yeah. And then we take
Uh,
those like the decree and creatures out or whatever, you could put in more like, I don't know, enablers or just like stuff that stops all creatures completely.
yeah. I'm running 4 Wraths. I almost want
Yeah.
more like board wipes, but
Well, I don't
not
think the
board wipes,
Windbore Muse is a
creature
bad
wipes.
idea.
It's just I don't have many creatures, so it just gets eliminated like immediately.
Yeah, you could run more like Wall of Roots, Wall of Blossoms, that sort of thing.
I could do walls. I could just do Wall of Blossoms. That's 2 mana and it draws me a card.
Well, it's fun though. Fun to
And
mess
then I
around.
could
I
forget
might
about the Exalted Angel, and I
I
could just
might
do
try
Wall of
something like
Blossoms.
this too.
2 Walls of Blossom instead of the Windborn Muse and the Exalted Angel. Maybe.
Some Gaia's Blessings in here, maybe.
I thought about it. I don't have an oath to do I do oath?
Kinda. That's like I've been starting to put
Do I
cards
do
into a
oath?
deck while we're talking here, and that's what I'm putting. Like Oath of Druid, Grove, Sylvan Library, Words
Maybe
of
I make
Worship.
it an oath deck and I get rid of the Exalted Angel, I get rid of the 3 Balos, I get rid of the Windborn Muse. I go 4 oaths and then an Ancestor's Chosen. And then I put in a few
Maybe.
Guy's Blessing.
Gaia's Blessings. Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck around and make an oath deck, Alex. Green white oath. All life game. I don't have an oath deck. I've never played an oath deck.
Yeah, me neither. This is the first time I've wanted to actually.
I inspired you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Maybe I do that. The oath into Ancestors Chosen just seems like better than a Windborn Muse and 3 Balos. Probably right.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. Okay, on to the next words card, Alex. The next words card is Words of Wind.
Wind.
Wind. Words of Wind. Words of Wind is 2 colorless, 1 blue. Enchantment. This guy's being attacked by paper.
Yeah. Static electric cling paper.
I never
Gumming his
actually
body all up.
never looked at this before, but as a wizard opening a book and then all the papers flying out, and the guy's like, "No, I'm wrapped up in paper." 1 colorless colon. The next time you would draw a card this turn, each player returns a permanent he or she controls to its owner's hand instead.
Okay.
Remember, Alex, that each player returns something to their hand. Each player. So
Each
this,
player. Okay.
each
I,
player.
I
That's
wasn't even thinking of that.
symmetric. Really?
Yeah,
So
I
it's
totally skipped over that. I
okay.
was
It's
just
good that
thinking
I
your
stressed
quote.
it then. It's good that I stressed it. So it's best played, I think, in decks full of enter the battlefield effects or
Mm,
decks where you can easily play multiple permanents per turn.
hmm
You'll
Or
see
maybe
that.
like echo creatures or fading creatures.
I wasn't thinking of either of those things. Why would? Oh, okay, yeah. So like echo, and you don't want to pay the echo, you bounce it back
Yeah,
instead.
or like
Yeah.
use your fading
Yeah.
creature for 2 turns and then
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes. Yes. Yes, Alex. I've seen Words of Wind in Enchantress and in a lands build. So the Enchantress one that I want to show is Tropical Enchantress by
oh,
Rich
then you just
Shea.
get to keep casting more enchantments over and over again.
What did you say?
I said then you get to keep casting enchantments over and over again and drawing more cards.
Yes.
Enchantment comes
Yes.
back, you cast the enchantment, you draw a
Yes.
card.
Yes. So this is Tropical Enchantress. This one was played by Rich Shea in the Premodern Online Monthly, May 2024. He came in at number 11 at a pool of 74 players.
I like what it's called. Is that because it's tropical island colors?
Yes.
Okay.
Green blue. I also think maybe there was like a Tropical Enchantress build in like other formats before.
Okay.
Like I think this might be,
An older one.
I think it might be a thing that people did in like Vintage or Legacy with Tropical Island,
I
but I
gotcha.
just
That makes
heard
sense.
somebody say that in a video. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Don't quote me. But I think there's a deck like of this type may have been played in previously with Tropical Islands in it.
Okay. Cool.
So he came in at number 11 at a pool of 74 players and Premodern Online Monthly, May 2024. Rich Shea is the reigning uh, North American Premodern champion from this year's LobsterCon, where he played Enchantress, but it was with a different Enchantress. He was working on this Tropical Enchantress build. He brought a different Enchantress to LobsterCon. He was off the green blue. But the green blue Enchantress was all the hotness for a little while. When you said earlier something about, oh, are we going to see a Sam Black, multiple Sam Black builds? And I was like, oh, there's another one where he actually talked about it, but and I think played a very similar deck, but I was going to show somebody else's version of it. This is what I was talking about. There was a Sam Black article from I think last year where he talked about potential Enchantress's build, and it was focused on a green blue Enchantress build. But this is Rich Shade's version of that. I don't know how to play this deck, Alex.
Oh, okay.
I did some
I
I
see
want to
the
say
cloud of fairies. I like that with Words of Wind.
yeah.
You get
I
to
want to say
cast for free.
I did some gold fishing with this, but I don't want to say gold fishing because I'm not on MTG Goldfish. I did some mox fielding
Okay.
with this deck. Pair it up against some of my other decks. Played myself. It's what I do when I'm sitting at home feeling lonely. I play online Magic with myself on mox field. And I always win. Makes me feel good. Gives me a little serotonin boost. Makes me feel happier. Like, yes, Steve, you are good. You are a champion. You can do anything. You win every fucking game. Uh, what do I say about this? Words of Wind is symmetrical, which I mentioned. But
Mhm.
here's how you play this deck. If you ensure that you have more permanents on the board than your opponent, this is the key. You can come out on top. This effect is symmetrical, but you establish a larger board state than your opponent. Every turn when you activate Words of Wind, you and your opponent are going to be taking 1, 2, 3, maybe more permanents off the board, coming back to your hand. If you're able to drop more permanents in them, you're pretty quickly going to get to a point where you still have things left on the board. Your opponent got nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. So how do you do that? Well, in green blue, you have all the tools to make that happen. You have the tools available to you to play more permanents faster than your opponent. We have a card draw engine. The card draw engine he here uses here is the Enchantress engine for Growthian Enchantresses, for Enchantresses presence. You have big mana generation. You're drawing a bunch of cards, but you need the mana to play them to get them on the board. You'll notice this Tropical Enchantress build runs 4 Fertile Grounds and 4 Wild Growths.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the
Nice to see
land.
the wild growth. I like
Yeah,
that.
a lot. 4, 8,
I don't
8
remember
cards like
fertile
that.
ground, what it does.
It is similar to a Wild Growth, but instead of being 1 green, it's 1 colorless and 1 green. And then whenever Enchanted Land is tapped for mana, it produces an additional 1 mana of any color.
Ah, okay, not bad.
Yeah. So you got the big mana generation to help you cast more of those, but you're drawing 2, 3 cards a turn. You need to generate more mana to play those 2, 3 cards a turn. So you got these helping you out there. You also are running an Enchantress deck with 3 Serra Sanctums, right?
Oh, okay.
So if you have a couple Enchantresses out, this can get really out of control.
I noticed he also has exploration, so if you're bouncing your own lands back, you can play them faster than your opponent.
You also have Exploration, another thing that can help you play more permanents per turn. You can play 2 lands per turn. You can play a land, you can bounce it, play it back. So you've gone down no permanents. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Yep.
Exploration 2 is another card that helps you play more permanents per turn than your opponent. So this is a nice way to build this card, or to build around this card with a symmetrical effect that makes that symmetrical effect worse for your opponent than it is for you. Draw more cards, be able to play more of those cards that you draw. Pretty soon your opponent's going to be left with nothing on the board, and you're still going to have a well-established board state. I will say that the 4 Fertile Grounds for Wild Growth are rough when there's a lot of land destruction in the meta,
Mm-hmm.
and that was very popular for a while. You know, you're getting 2 for 1 all the time, sometimes 3 for 1.
Yeah. I mean, you could run birds and sub birds in for wild growths,
You
like
could.
against land destruction, right?
You could. It's not an oath deck. He doesn't have any birds in his sideboard. I guess there's probably just other things to put in the sideboard.
Yeah. Cyborg
Um,
space is precious.
yeah. I noticed that there was a plains in this sideboard. I was like,
Oh,
ooh. And then I went, ooh, and then I stopped thinking about it. I did other things instead with my life. But I often find myself when building sideboards thinking that I want to put like 1 or 2 basic lands in, and I never do. And I have to look at this deck more closely and think, why did he put a plains in the sideboard? It might be very obvious. Is it just because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white spells? This is probably the answer, maybe. 7 white spells
is this
in his
something to do with the
sideboard?
Sabo's web?
I doubt it. No, because he doesn't have any lands in here. His lands are 1 City of Brass, 7 forests, 4 islands, 3 Serra Sanctums, 3 Windswept Heath, and 4 Yavimaya Coast. He doesn't have any lands in the deck that have a non-mana producing ability.
Yeah, maybe it's just a little more white mana.
I think it's for cases where he wants to sideboard in heavy these white spells. He just wants to give himself more white mana. That's definitely it.
He
Because
only
his
has
only,
3 Serra Sanctums in though.
yeah,
So like you
yeah,
could play another one of those.
yeah, you could, but it could get wastelanded. And then,
Oh yeah,
so 1,
true.
it can get wastelanded. And 2, you can't search for the Serra Sanctums. You can't fetch it with
Oh yeah,
Windswept
yeah.
Heath.
With I wasn't even
Yeah.
looking at fetch lands there. Yeah.
So I just talked through it. That's exactly why, because he has no white spells in the main board, but
Oh
he
yeah.
has 3 white spells in the sideboard. When
Okay.
he brings those in, he brings them in along with the planes. That's it.
Okay.
Just figured it out. Very basic. Uh, so what did I say? This is built in a way to make a symmetrical effect worse for your opponent than it is for you. 4 fertile grounds, 4 wild growths. Rough can be rough when land destruction is popular. Words of Wind, quite nice with Cloud of Fairies, which is something you caught on to immediately when I showed you this deck. Quite nice with Cloud of Fairies. Cloud of Fairies is 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1/1, flying. When a Cloud of Fairies comes into play, untap up to 2 lands. This deck run in Sarah's Sanctums in an Enchantress build, and also running 4 fertile grounds and 4 wild growths as your enchantments. You're often going to have a single land that can tap for many, many mana.
Mm-hmm.
And you cast this Cloud of Fairies, you're not just then untapping 2 islands that you can use to play another 2 casting cost spell. Sometimes you're untapping
Multi-mana lands.
Sarah's Sanctum
Yeah.
that can tap for 4 white and that also has a fertile growth on it. So you could tap it for 4 white and a blue or 4 white and a green. Play multiple new spells that you just drew because your Argothian Enchantress and your Enchantress Presence triggered or something, you know?
And I forgot that the fairies have cycling on them too. So
Yes.
even if you have enough mana, you could just, bounce it back to your hand and use it to draw a card.
Mm-hmm. It's a very cool deck. And it wins most of the time, I think, just by bouncing all of your opponent's permanents back to their hands. They don't have anything to do, and then they give up.
What's the blue bounce spell there? I've used that before, and I can't remember what it's called now.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Let me go through the deck. Sometimes I get distracted. I always want to go through the
It was
deck.
my fault. I started talking.
I even have notes here. Tell everybody what's in the deck, Steve. Tell everyone what's in the deck, and I still sometimes skip past that. I didn't tell everybody what's in my green-white life gain deck. I went through most of the important cards. Tropical Enchantress runs 8 creatures, 4 Argothian Enchantress, 4 Cloud of Fairies, 4 instants. You got 4 frantic searches to help you find the cards that you need. It's an Enchantress deck, so it runs 26 enchantments, 4 Enchantresses Presence, 1 Exploration, 4 Fertile Ground, 4 Seal of Removal, 4 Sylvan Library, 1 Trade Routes. This is a rare from Mercadian Masks. That's 1 colorless, 1 blue. You can pay 1 colorless, return target land you control to owner's hand. So one of your own lands get bounced back to your hand. Or pay 1, discard a land card from your hand, draw a card. Exchanging lands for cards. 4 Wild Growth, 3 Words of Wind, and then it runs 1 Words of War. So you got 2 word spells in this deck. If you can't get your opponent to scoop because they're so frustrated by the fact that they can't keep a single permanent on the board because you keep bouncing everything back with Words of Wind, you could also just blast them in the fucking face with Words of War, Alex.
In the face.
Just come and blast it. That's the deck. 22 lands. I already went through the lands. Sideboard is 3 Elephant Grass, 2 Parallax Tide, boo. 1 Plains, 2 Replenish, boo. I also hate Replenish. It's making me angry. It's very frustrating to me. You play all these decks with these powerful enchantments. You remove the enchantments or you counter the enchantments. You think, woo, I don't have to worry about that. Then you got to worry about the Replenish.
Frustrating is that I can't afford to replenish.
When we first started buying back into Magic again, one day at like 2 in the morning, I just bid on a Replenish on eBay. This was like 2 years ago. It was still expensive then, so I didn't get it super cheap or anything, but it's like I had nothing to do with it. I was just like randomly buying the occasional card under $100. So I have 1 Replenish that I bought for like $50 or something.
Oh, nice.
2 years ago.
It's over 100 now.
Woo, okay, definitely got it for less than that. 2 Seal of Cleansing, 3 Solitary Confinement, 2 Sable's Web. So that's Tropical Enchantress. Cool deck. I like this next build even better, though. Just a little different, a little bit more unusual. Also features Words of Wind. This one is called Lands by Mathieu Marquez. He's a Mercadian frog. He played this at Mercadian Frogs, Troll Teju in Paris, France. He came in 4th position or 4th place out of 11 players. So it was a small little get together, kind of like the ones we have here at the Retromancers and C-Bus in Columbus, Ohio. The cards in this deck. 7 instants, 2 Enlightened Tutors, 2 Ray of Revelations, 3 Swords of Plowshares, 14 artifacts, 4 Black Vice, 4 Horn of Greed, which if you don't remember is 3 colorless artifact. Whenever any player plays a land, that player draws a card. Also symmetrical. Anybody plays a land, they draw a card. 4 Sphere of Resistance, 2 colorless. All spells cost an additional 1 colorless to play. And then 3 Tangle Wire. Enchantments, 9 different enchantments. You have 4 Explorations, 1 Humility, 3 Mana Breaches, which is a card that you've talked about previously, Alex. I think
Yeah.
you liked when you first saw it.
Mhm.
And then 1 Words of Wind.
I like where this is going.
Yeah, the land base, 30 lands, 1 Atakar Waste, 2 Cities of Brass, 1 Dust Bowl, 4 Gemstone Mine, 4 Mishra's Factories, 4 Rishadan Ports, 4 Treetop Village, 2 Treva's Ruins, 4 Undiscovered
Wow.
Paradise, 4 Wasteland, Alex.
All
It's a
right.
lands-based deck, so you got 30 lands. So the idea behind this deck is everybody wants to play lands. Everybody has to play lands, so you force cards into their hand. Horn of Greed. Make them draw. Draw, baby, draw. Make it hard for them to play spells. Sphere of Resistance, Tangle Wire to tap down permanents. So kill, tap, or neuter any creatures they play. Again, the Tangle Wire comes in to play there. You also got the 3 Swords of Plowshares to kill their creatures. And you got the 1 Humility. If that sticks, makes any creature they play 1/1. And then you kill them with the Black Vice because they have a handful of cards that they can't play because they don't have enough mana to cast them. Or Manlands. Your Treetop Villages, your Mishra's Factories. Also, their hands full because you've bounced things back with Words of Wind, right? Words of Wind. So I like this deck a lot too, actually. It seems like a deck where you'd be doing a lot of stuff, which I like decks where you're doing a lot of stuff. That's enjoyable. It's just fun to be doing a lot of stuff every turn. But it's different from most of the doing a lot of stuff decks like we've seen, you know? I consider Enchantress decks doing a lot of stuff decks because you're drawing so many cards each turn and you have a lot of mana usually that you can utilize. So you're playing a lot of different spells. And when you play those spells, sometimes you're drawing more cards and casting those cards you drew, doing a lot of stuff. See a lot of survival decks. I consider survival decks to be doing a lot of stuff decks. Tutoring for toolbox things, casting them out, doing different stuff. Lots of stuff, some say. This is a different type of doing a lot of stuff deck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not the type you see very often. And I like that it utilizes Mana Breach and Words of Wind. So
Yeah,
Mana Breach. Well, let me highlight Mana Breach real quick. 2 colors, because this is also it's one of the more important cards in the deck, I think. 2 colors, 1 blue enchantment. Whenever any player plays a spell, that player returns a land he or she controls to owner's hand. So you have a bunch of different ways to put things back into their hand. Mana Breach and the Words of Wind. If you're not putting it back into their hand, then you're tapping it down with the Tangle Wire. It's a very interesting prison stuff deck.
Yeah, I like this. It has some element. I've made several decks that have a few elements from this, and they're all kind of like overlapping. I like it. And now I have
4
too many decks to
explorations.
look through, so I can't even. I'm disorganized. I have all these decks, and I'm like, where's the one I'm looking for?
Focus, Alex. I mean, decks you're building?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, and you have 4 explorations. They're probably not playing 4 They're probably not playing 4 explorations. So if you can play a spell, yeah, you have to return a land to your hand, but you can usually put it back into play because you'll probably have an exploration out, and you can draw a card from the Horn of Greed. You also don't necessarily need to play spells to attack them because you kill with lands. Mishra's Factory, Treetop Village. Interesting sideboard. It looks like it has an alternative oath plan. In the sideboard, you have 4 oaths. 1 Ancestor Chosen, 1 Ancient Hydra, 1 Aura of Silence, 1 Crumble, 1 Disenchant, 2 Guy's Blessings, 1 Null Rod, 1 Seal of Cleansing, 2 Phyrexian Furnace. So this can pivot from its primary land-based strategy. land/prison-based strategy to an oath strategy. I wonder when you pivot to the oath strategy.
Yeah, that I don't.
Maybe you pivot to the oath strategy when you're facing a deck that's just too fast for you to get your prison elements out to control. Like let's say a goblin deck, for instance, turn 1 lackey. Then turn 2 attack with lackey, drop a Siege King commander or something. Then they're in under your sphere of resistance. Then you're in trouble. If you're playing a real aggro deck like that, bring in the oath package. So they drop a couple creatures, triggers your oath, then you gain a bunch of life with your ancestors chosen. Maybe that's when you make that switch, when you make that pivot. Decks that are just a little too fast for you to deal with. That's when I would make the pivot. That's a conclusion I just came to.
Okay. I found my most similar deck, I think. It's
Okay.
a blue-green that runs Exploration and Mana Breach.
Okay.
And it runs man lands. Same
Okay.
sort of idea. Set myself up to kill him with man lands. Mine has a little more. I only have 1 Black Vice in here. I'm gonna add Horn of Greed now, I think, because I like that. I'm running
Yeah.
like Propaganda, Teferi's Response, so that I can counter things that target my lands.
Remind me what propaganda is again.
Propaganda makes them pay 2 mana to attack with any creature.
Okay. Okay.
So some stuff like that. And I have Chain of Vapor in this deck.
Bouncing.
To bounce, yeah. 1 or 2 other things too.
Have you considered Words of Wind, Alex?
I should now, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to put that in considering. I also have Natural Affinity in here that turns creatures, land
Into
to 2/2 creatures.
2/2s.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Words of Wind.
When you turn your lands into creatures with natural affinity, they can attack that turn, right? They're not coming
They
into
can as long
play.
as
Yeah.
they've been in play all turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Okay, Alex. Finish up that brew.
I'm gonna, yeah.
Brew that brew.
Considering.
And then I'll match it up against my aggro deck, so I'll see what happens. Can you beat Stompy? Can you beat White Weenie? And then can you beat Goblins? That's the escalation we'll go through. Can you beat Green Stompy? Can you beat my White Weenie? Can you beat Goblin? If you can, then you have a decent control style deck. That's enough Words of Wind talk, Alex. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done with that shit. It's time to talk about bears. The next words spell is Words of Wilding. What kind of bears? What did you say? Oh, you love bears.
I
That's
love
what you
bears,
said.
yeah.
Words of Wilding is 2 colorless, 1 green enchantment. It's a rare from Onslaught. Pay 1 colorless, colon. The next time you would draw a card this turn, put a 2/2 green bear creature token into play instead. So you could draw a card, or make a bear. This is also, as you can imagine, found in Enchantress builds. See, most of these spells are draw replacement. I mean, they're draw replacement cards. If you want to take advantage of them, you want to put them in a deck where you're drawing a lot of cards potentially. The best way to do that in Premodern, post land tax ban, without the Squirrelback land tax engine, is the Enchantress draw engine. Because I tend not to like to play the best possible stuff for some reason, like to fiddle around with other things. I'm trying to pair these more often with the Sylvan Library. I think that's the second best way to try to exploit these words cards. But you'll find the Words of Wilding in Enchantress builds. It gives you an alternative win con in a white green Enchantress build. A lot of times you'll see white green Enchantress builds which use opalescence, right, to turn all your enchantments into creatures, and they attack that way. Words of Wilding I like seeing in those types of decks because it gives you an alternative way to win. You don't need the opalescence to turn all your enchantments into creatures to then attack You can just have this one enchantment that actually generates creatures. And we see that in this particular Enchantress build, brewed up by one Thomas Bombadil. And he played it in the 2025 Child Protective Services Monthly League, the CPS Monthly League. I don't know what that stands for. Probably not Child Protective Services. Does Tom Bombadil work for CPS, for Child Protective Services though?
Might.
He was a good guy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it seems like something that Thomas would do then. This is what they do to blow off some steam. You're dealing with a lot of fucked up shit probably when you're working with CPS, right? When you're working for
Oh my
CPS.
God.
So what? Anyways, it's a white-green Enchantress deck where he runs 4 Argothian Enchantresses, 2 Replenishes. Those are the only 2 sorceries in the deck. And then 33 enchantments. All of the white-green enchantments we're used to seeing in pre-modern Enchantress builds.
Whoa,
3,
Nelly.
3 Elephant Grass, 4 Enchantress's Presence, 4 Exploration, 4 Mirri's Gyro, 2 Opalescence, 2 Parallax Wave, 3 Seal of Cleansing, 1 Solitary Confinement, 4 Sterling Groves, 4 Wild Growth, 1 Words of Wilding, and 1 Worship. So this is really play as many enchantments as I can, and then cast an Opalescence to attack for lethal style
Okay.
Enchantress deck. Pretty straightforward, but I like this, just including Words of Wilding as an alternative win con. If you can't stick the Opalescence, just generate as many 2/2 bears as you can. Attack with those. I also, I just like 2-color decks. I like monocolored decks, 2-color decks. You could do more with your Enchantress build, but I just like the purity of the 2 allied colors.
Yeah.
And this is a good route to go if you just want to run a straight up white-green Enchantress build. I enjoy this style of deck. He does have 1 Wooded Foothills in here. Is it just to help him get more forests? Probably. Because he doesn't have any red in his sideboard.
Yeah, I guess does he
Anyways,
have more green in his sideboard? Maybe if he puts more green in, he pulls another green fetch.
Samia, 2 Choke,
Hmm.
2 colorless, 1 green enchantment. Islands in untapped during their controller's untap phase, and 2 Xantid Swarms, which I like to see.
Mm-hmm.
1 green, 0/1 flying. Whenever it attacks, defending player can't play spells this turn. This is the kind of deck, this is the kind of Enchantress build for a middling level player like myself. I don't even know if I'm at the middle. I'm still pretty much a beginner, maybe. At least compared to the really good people, I'm a beginner. If I were to sit down and shuffle up, this deck would be easier for me to play than, for instance, Tropical Enchantress with Words
Yeah.
of Wind, where I'm trying to bounce all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
This is an Enchantress build that's easy for me to wrap my head around at this particular moment in my Magic the Gathering life.
Yeah.
What else could you do with Words of Wilding if you didn't want to play an Enchantress deck like everybody else? You could do Bear Tribal, Alex. Bear motherfucking Tribal in Premodern. Will it suck? Yes. Here are all the bears that are available to you in Premodern. Balduvian bears from Ice Age. I always loved this art. Quentin Hoover. 1 colorless, 1 green, 2/2 summon bears. It's exactly like Grizzly Bears. 1 colorless, 1 green, also available to you in Premodern. 2/2. Been around since Alpha. So if you want to play your Alpha, if you want to sleeve up your Alpha Grizzly Bears, this is your opportunity. Bear Tribal, Words of Wilding. You can play Polar Bears, also from
Hail
Ice
bears.
Age. 2 colorless, 1 green,
Hail bears.
2/2. I said polar bears because the picture right here is a picture of polar bears. So my mind said polar bears. No, my mouth said polar bears. My eyes looked, my eyes saw pale bears. Pale
Saw the
bears
picture.
entered my brain. Shit got all jumbled up, and then polar bears came out my mouth. Happens sometimes. Why didn't they just call it polar bears? It's an image, it's a painting of polar bears. It's quite nice art by Anthony Waters. 2 colorless, 1 green, 2/2 Island Walk. Spectral Bears from Homelands. This is a card that I've actually played in Green Stompy before. Not very good in a pre-modern bear tribal, though. 1 colorless, 1 green. Maybe it would be. 3/3. No, it won't. If Spectral Bears is declared as an attacker and defending player controls no black cards, it does not untap during your next untap phase. Maybe you sideboard this into your pre-modern bear tribal deck when you're facing mono black clerics.
Well, I like it
Then
too for like you can just untap it with like a Quirion Ranger or something if you
do you
need to.
play? Yes, you can, but do you play? That's what I do in Green Stompy when I play. But do you play Quirion Ranger and Bear Tribal? I don't know. You could, but I don't know if you do. Striped Bears from Weatherlight. Summon Bears. 3 colorless, 1 green, 2/2. When Striped Bears come into play, draw a card. Here's your card draw engine, baby. Play your Striped Bears for 4. Do you draw the card? No, you replace it with Words of Wilding. Pay 1 colorless, generate another 2/2 bear. You've used 2
Bravo.
cards and 5 mana to generate 2/2/2s. 2/2/2s. And then finally, you have Werebear. This is your big finisher, I think, in pre-modern bear tribal. 1 colorless, 1 green, 1/1. Human Bear Druid. Tap to add 1 green to ramp out your Grizzly Bears. Threshold, Werebear gets +3/+3 as long as you have 7 more cards in your graveyard. So he can be 4/4.
I feel like we need like a sacrifice element then in our bear tribal system, to like stock up for werebear.
To get Threshold?
Yeah, maybe like add some black, have some stuff that lets you empty your hand into your graveyard or sack these creatures for mana, or also natural orders to kill your bears, to search for other things.
But what other thing? You should have a
Well,
giant bear. We're
I
how many
know.
years into why isn't there no bear in the pre-modern card pool with power
Yeah,
greater than
they were
3?
really lagging behind in making a big bear.
Did they fuck up at the beginning when they made grizzly bears just 2/2? Like it should be a grizzly bear cub 2/2. I feel like they look small too in the original art for grizzly bears, right?
It's
Right?
tough because you have to balance them against
No,
other
they don't look
creatures. It's
small.
like the green mammoth from back then was 3/3, so is like a bear as big as a mammoth? No.
Yeah, that's true.
But I agree, like there's a lot of humans that are 2/2 and grizzly bear is bigger than a human.
Most cases, yeah. Anyways, it's just disappointing there's not a bear with a power greater than 3 in all of pre-modern Magic.
Yeah.
What about now? What about
Oh,
modern?
now Bloomborough had big sweet
Okay.
bear.
Okay.
Lumra, Bellow of the Woods.
What is it?
It's I don't know how to spell it. Lumra. Try that first.
Well, first I'm just gonna look for bear.
Yeah, okay. Let's look for bear. It's called Bellow of the Woods, though, is the
Okay, already we got
correct
an
name.
Alpine Grizzly. 4/2. Bear Cub. Bear Cub. 1 colorless, 1
Okay.
green, 2/2.
Why is the cub the same as the grizzly bear?
That's infuriating.
That's crazy.
It's a portal. It's a portal card.
Okay.
Portal Second Age. So this was a pre-modern era.
Pretty cute.
I don't think Portal's not legal in pre-modern though. We need to make Portal legal in pre-modern. It opens up a whole new possibility for the bear tribe. Bear cubs.
One bear was 8/8. Copper something. 8/8 trample hexproof. That's a big bear.
Duskana, the Rage Mother.
There you
Legendary
go.
bear. 2 colorless, 1 red, 1 green, 1 white, 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control with base power and toughness 2, 2, 2, 2. Whenever a creature you control with base power and toughness 2 attacks, it gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Shit. Okay. Gore Claw. What was the one you just said? You said one of them was
That's
8/8.
there. Lumra, Bellow of the Woods.
Say the word. Say the name again.
Lumra.
L.
You went past it.
Oh, okay. There we go. Oh, it's star star. Uh, star star. 4 colors, 2 green. Vigilance, reach, power, and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. When Lumra enters, mill 4 cards, then return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So she'll be at least 6/6 coming in, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
You're not using artifact mana or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Without ramping, which you tend to do in green. Anyways, a little bit of a tangent there, just to say that you could play Bear Tribal with Words of Wilding. You could do that. And then finally, we've come to the last card in the word cycle. Words of Waste, Alex. Words of Waste. This is the black. This is the black word spell, words enchantment. 2 colorless, 1 black. Rare enchantment from Onslaught. Pay 1 colorless, colon. The next time you would draw a card this turn, each opponent discards a card from his or her hand. Current market price of $4.89. I'm shocked, Alex. I'm stunned. I'm like a stunned mullet. That this is the most expensive word spell in the word cycle. Because it's definitely the worst.
But not in Commander.
But not in Commander. And that was my thought too. I was like, it's definitely the worst in Premodern, it's definitely worst in 1v1, but it's definitely not the worst in what is the most popular format in Magic the Gathering and the one that often drives price appreciation.
Yeah.
At least these days in Magic the Gathering. Commander.
So Words of Waste and Words of Wind are the only two that affect all your opponents.
Everybody. And was Words of Wind the second most expensive? Probably was.
It's like $2.
$2. Okay. But yeah, this one's more than twice that. And yes, because it affects each opponent. Each opponent discards a card from his or her hand. So it's a great way in Commander to piss off everybody else that you're playing with at the same exact time. I looked up the decks in Premodern that run Words of Waste, and this is it. This is the list of decks that I found on TC decks that run Words of Waste. I don't know if you could tell, Alex, how many decks are in this list.
0?
0.
Okay.
There are 0 decks listed on tcdecks.net.
I thought you were still pulling it up.
Nope, that's it. That are legal in the Premodern format that run Words of Waste. None. This is the least powerful of the word spells in Premodern. It runs out of targets so quickly. You can't keep using it all game, really. I mean, once you've stripped their hand, it's done. I mean, they draw cards, and you could use it to strip counter spells and stuff, I guess. But for the most part, you're going to get like a couple good turns, good uses out of it, and that's it. It's just not nearly as powerful as the other spells. Also, you don't get to use it on turn 1, like the best discard spells in Premodern Magic, Duress, Cabal Therapy.
There's so much discard that, like, why do you need to like set this up to do it? Like, you could just be going straight for the throat with like better discard.
And the word spells we've seen are best utilized when you can exploit them with some sort of card draw engine or some other spell that lets you draw more than 1 cards a turn. And
so more setup.
You can't really do that with this one. Once you've stripped their hand, then the most they're going to have in their hand after that is 1 card from their draw. It's like, can't exploit it in the same way.
Yeah.
And that's it, Alex. That's it for the word cycle.
All right.
From Onslaught.
All right.
That's a review of some of the decks that I saw in Premodern that utilize these word spells. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap up this segment? We're going to move on to a short segment 2.
I don't think so. On to segment 2.
Okay, that's it. On to segment 2, Alex. Segment 2 is called Premodern Market Moves. Today we're going to talk about some cards that have been going up, up, up in price. Check your bulk boxes, boys and girls, because you might have a Spike Cannibal in some of those boxes.
Spike Cannibal.
This one has shot up in price, Alex. This is one that you called on a prior episode of Old Mage MTG, or maybe when we were just talking off the show. But you were like, this seems really good. Why is this card 25 cents? I mean, I don't have like there wasn't a deck that you had in mind where you wanted to play it, but you were just like, so many people, just like casual Magic players, have decks totally designed around plus one counters,
Yeah,
plus one counters. Why aren't people playing Spike Cannibal and just stealing all the plus one counters
especially in
and
Command.
from to kitchen tables across the world, mostly in Command. That's really why you call it out. Command. You didn't have any idea for like what to do with it in pre-modern necessarily. But what is
I
Spike Cannibal?
I actually well, we can get back to that if you want, but go ahead, keep going.
Okay, one colorless, two black. Maybe you did have ideas for what to do with it
I
in
didn't,
pre-modern.
but I might
Okay.
not.
One colorless, two black. Summon Spike, 0/0. Spike Cannibal comes into play with plus one counter on it. So it's a 1/1 for 3. Who gives a fuck? When Spike Cannibal comes into play, though, you move all plus one counters from all creatures onto Spike Cannibal. Imagine how many casual Commander games there are going on right at this very moment, where people are all giddy with the number of plus one counters they've built up on their horde of creatures. And then somebody plays Spike Cannibal, and next thing you know, you've just cast a 72/72 spike for three mana. Two black, one colorless. You know?
Yeah.
Nobody paid attention to this card forever. It was 25 cents. And then in the last 2 weeks, it shot up to $6.15.
I didn't buy them yet.
Is it gonna come all the way down? It's gonna come down a lot because it is a uncommon from Exodus.
Yeah. Only printing though, I think.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Only printing. But I do see this as a card that like a lot of people will just want to have in their binder for use when their buddy brings out their plus one counter deck, which
Yeah.
a lot of buddies have a lot of plus one counter deck.
So I have a deck in the early stages. I haven't tried this out yet, and it's kind of janky because you know what I like to do. Uh, but I have this in a mono black deck. It uses, let's see, I have some cards in here like Aku Jin, which puts counters on my opponent's creatures,
Yeah.
and I can
Okay.
take them back.
Yes. That's probably
Uh,
why you talked to me about it. I
maybe.
have a memory of that now, actually.
Carrion Feeder. You put counters on the Carrion Feeder when I sacrifice a creature, and then I can move them around with the Spike Feeder if I want. Uh, Entrails Feaster is an Onslaught card, Zombie Cat. Uh, it allows you to empty your graveyard of remove creature cards from your graveyard from the game, and put plus one counters on it.
Okay.
And then I have one or two things in here that I think won't work, and I didn't realize that at first. Like I have Mishra's Factories, but they don't get counters, I don't think. They just get plus one, which isn't a counter.
Correct.
So I
That's
couldn't take those counters off the Mishra's Factory, which sucks.
that's what I believe as well.
Same with Nantuko Shade. I put this in here, but I don't think that works. It just gets plus one until end of turn. And then the last thing that I had identified as a combo was a card I've been messing around with a bit called Cannibalize. I've showed you that. It's a black removal spell. You remove one creature from the game of your opponent's creatures and put plus one on the other one.
Yeah.
So I can remove a creature and then I'll take the counter back with my Spike Cannibal.
I love this because I love Robert Bliss's art. I love Cannibalize. His art is great. It's very distinctive, very stylized, very creepy.
So yeah, that's just some janky stuff. None of it's obviously as good as using it in Commander, which is,
I love AQ Jin. I've always wanted to play this card.
and that's the thing. I think, yeah, I wanted some use for this.
3 colorless, 2 black, summon Jin, 5/6, trample. During your upkeep, each opponent puts a plus one counter on each creature he or she controls. So it is scary because
Oh yeah.
still you play this and then the turn after you cast your Spike Cannibal, but then the turn right after that, if they're not dead yet, their creatures are going to get plus one again. Like it keeps happening.
Yeah.
I like it though.
Might be fun.
I like
Might
it though.
make for some fun games.
That's the thing about the Jins, man. They have downsides.
Yeah, they do.
And
It's true.
you play them knowing that they have the downside, and that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
Seeing if you can kill your opponent with the gen before the gen takes you out.
Yeah. Okay. What was the next card?
I want to say a little bit more real quick. Spike Cannibal.
Oh, I also have Wall of Souls in that deck, so that way if their creatures are getting out of hand,
Oh yeah.
lock them and reflect the damage back.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I just want to say Spike Cannibal was highlighted as a weekly winner on July 24th. It's already started to come down from then because in this July 24th article was $9.94. So it's already making its way down. It said this old school hate piece from Exodus has been making waves lately, and it's not hard to see why. While you're getting a measly 1/1 for 3 mana on the surface, Spike Cannibal becomes a real threat when your opponents are running +1/+1 counter strategies. Happens all the time. This recent spike, they believe, MTG stocks, as they in this case, seems tied to the counter blitz precon from Commander Final Fantasy, where
Ah,
+1/+1 counters are everywhere, and this
everywhere.
card can absolutely wreck the deck strategy. That may have been what stimulated this particular moment of
Yeah.
interest, but +1/+1 counters aren't new. They're not unique to the counter blitz precon for Commander Final Fantasy. They were around before then. They'll be around long after. I am
And we're
surprised this was just a 25-cent card, never being reprinted, because it seems like a lot of casual Magic players would at least want to put this in a sideboard or something.
I just feel like with what comes out in the future, this won't be the last time we see this, you know?
I agree. Next card, Jet of Loyalty. Another card we've highlighted here on the Old Mage MTG podcast before. I can't remember if we were talking about it because of its effect or because of who was dead in the background.
That's what I feel like we were talking about more, maybe,
I
was
think so too.
the lore
Uh,
and the art.
yes. Is it Krovac?
It's no,
Dead
it's
in the
Maraxus of Killed, I think.
fuck.
Is
Can't
that
remember.
who that's supposed to be?
I can't remember.
He's the big muscly guy.
The red creature.
Yeah, yeah. With
Like
the
this. His
biceps
arms,
on
his arm,
biceps
his
on
arm is almost
biceps.
as his arm is almost as big as this in the art. Dead of Loyalty, a reserve list card. It was highlighted as a weekly winner on August 7th. August 7th. So just 10 days ago. Dead of Loyalty is one colorless, 2 white, instant. It says regenerate target creature, gain control of that creature. Gatherer shows revised text on this card. It says current revised rule text. Regenerate target creature, you gain control of that creature if it regenerates this way.
Okay. So does that mean you can't do it if the creature isn't about to die?
It means that you can't gain control of the creature unless lethal damage is applied to the creature. So,
Yeah.
to be honest, when I read the original wording, I always thought that was the case, that you had to regenerate the creature first before you could gain control of it. And in order for you to regenerate it, it had to have been on its way to the graveyard.
Yeah. Hmm.
But apparently, that's not how everybody interpreted it, because the internet right now is full of people going, oh, everybody's buying it because they're misunderstanding the card. So there's apparently at least some group of people who thinks you can just cast this card on at a creature and it's a 3 mana control magic and white.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know how many of those people actually exist versus how many people out there just think a lot of those people exist and they're like attacking people and calling them stupid for something that nobody actually believes. But
They're probably just mixing up the fact that, like, the way regenerate works is by, like, putting a regeneration shield on the
shield.
creature now,
Yeah.
which isn't really intuitive or how it used to be described, I don't think.
That's exactly what Gatherer says over here in the rulings section. I
Hmm.
don't know if you were seeing that when you said that,
I
but
did see it. Yeah.
yeah, 2008. Casting Debt of Loyalty puts a regeneration shield on a creature. If later in the turn that creature would be destroyed, instead it regenerates and you gain control of it. Note that it will be tapped when you gain control of it. The control change doesn't have duration. You retain control of that creature until the game ends or until some other effect causes it to change control. So
Oh, that's good to remember is that because you regenerate it, it taps and then you gain control of it as
that I forgot about. I forgot about that.
okay. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought to tap it on my side when I took it.
But
Uh,
yes, you can cast Debt of Loyalty as an instant. It then puts a regeneration shield on the creature.
mhm.
If that creature is then destroyed by a spell in that turn, it will instead regenerate and you gain control of it. If
Yeah.
nothing happens to that creature to destroy it, it doesn't regenerate because there's nothing to regenerate from, and you don't gain control of the creature.
Right.
So it's
But
not a
luckily,
three
it's an
mana.
instant, so you can play it in response to something that's about to destroy a creature. So,
Correct. Correct. But it's not a 3 mana uh control magic. It's a 3 mana plus however many mana you have to spend on another spell to have it destroy a creature,
yeah.
unless something else happens.
Or if
Unless
it
your
in
opponent does
Commander, you wait for person A to
somebody else.
destroy
That's true.
person B's creature, and then you take it.
That's true. That's true.
And I think that's, again, yeah, probably why this is getting more attention is because it's
So
useful like that in Commander.
yeah, I'm always thinking 1v1. I'm like, okay, so you need to sink 3 mana into this, which is really good, but then you need to sink mana into another spell to first kill. So it's like, what is it going to be
I
of?
mean, or have it die in combat if you
Or
know.
have it die in combat, yeah.
Yeah, but I see your point.
But if it dies in combat, then it's
You
usually a
didn't really need it to begin with.
exactly. That's what I was going to get at. It could die in combat, but then you most likely already have something bigger.
Yeah.
I wanted to note that this is not the first time this card has done this.
Yeah.
Back in 2021, it was a $40 card. And it came right back down because everybody decided they didn't need it. I say it came back right down. It got down to under $10, but it was still like consistently a $7 card, $7, $8, $9 card for a long time. And now it's shooting up again to approaching $40. I bet it'll get stuck right at that price point again and then come right back down to like $8 again. You'll probably
Yeah.
have to wait 2 years to get for it to get down to $8. But this is what happens. It's like there's just not that many people that want that many copies of Debt of Loyalty. And because it's a reserve list card, there's a whole bunch of people. I don't know how many, but there's definitely a group of people who just sit on like a huge number of copies of any like middling or underplayed reserve list card, and they just wait for this to
Yeah.
so then they can offload it to Card Kingdom for $10 profit on each card that they've been holding for like 2 years in their box. I don't know. This is obviously maybe a profitable strategy for some people, but just for like the average Magic player, you don't need to be doing this. You need to be chasing this stuff. It'll come back down.
Yeah. And then you can get your one copy for Commander that you need.
Get your one copy for Commander, exactly. Next card that jumped up in price, Ancestral Knowledge. Ancestral Knowledge is another reserve list card from Weatherlight. I believe it's reserve list. It's never been reprinted. Is it reserve list? What happened to that section here on MTG stocks? Yes, reserve list. Yes, it is. It is one colorless, one blue. Enchantment. Cumulative upkeep of one colorless. When Ancestral Knowledge comes into play, look at the top 10 cards of your library, then remove any number of them from the game and put the rest back on top of your library in any order. If the Ancestral Knowledge leaves play, shuffle your library. I looked around. To be honest, I have no clue what's causing this spike. I couldn't link it to the printing of any card. I couldn't link it to any mention of like a targeted buyout on Reddit, but this might be a targeted buyout. I can't figure out why all of a sudden this would be getting more popular. What it does just on its face isn't necessarily going to become more or less important ever in Magic. It's not going to like synergize in a way with some new card that it never could have synergized with before, I don't
Yeah.
think, unless there's some new thing that it's like, unless there's some new enchantment that is printed that says something like, if you play a card with cumulative upkeep, you win the game or something. Like I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Uh, this, like Debt of Loyalty, is a reserve list card that has spiked up in price many times over the last 5 or more years and come back down every time. Right now it's $15.49.
Yeah. Very active graph on this one.
Very active graph. Up, down, up, down. I don't know if it's constantly targeted by buyouts. I can't imagine what is making this card more or less popular. Uh, I've always liked this card. I'll say that it's pretty good. I've always
Yeah, it's
liked
not
it.
bad.
but I've never played it just because there are lots of ways, and I think this is what's kept the price down for this card for a long time, despite the fact that it's a reserve list rare. I've always liked it, but there are lots of ways to draw cards and sort through your decks to assemble combos in blue.
Yeah.
That's what this card does. It helps you dig 10 cards deep. It costs 2 mana to do that. In order to draw the first card that you've stacked on top of your library the next turn, you need to pay 1 more mana during your upkeep. So it'll be 3 cards to dig 10 deep and choose the one, or sorry, it'll be 3 mana to dig 10 cards deep and at least draw the next one you want. If you want to wait to get the second one that you stacked on your deck, it'll cost 5 mana in 2 turns. So it's like, it's good, but it's not amazing, and it doesn't do anything a lot of other spells in blue won't already help you do.
Yeah, I'd like to try to use this like without having to pay its cumulative upkeep. So like if I have some sort of
Thran Turbine.
card draw, well, yeah, that could help. If I had some sort of like card draw method on deck already, something that I had already spent the mana on that I could use like next turn to draw a card. And then
Yeah.
I cast this and then use that thing to like draw my top 3 cards that I just arranged for myself. You know what I mean?
What about an Enchantress deck? It's an enchantment.
True.
So you can play it. Playing it will draw you a card.
Yeah.
Then you'll dig through 10 cards.
And you could probably decide how to order those 2 effects since you control them both if they happen at the
Okay.
same time.
And then you'll sort 10 cards. You'll dig through 10 cards, you can sort them. And then you can put the one you want the most or the one you want next on top. And then you'll probably already have another enchantment. You might already have like another low casting cost enchantment in your hand. Seal of Removal or Seal of Fire or a Miri's Guile, something one that would just cost you 1 mana. Play that, and then you immediately draw the card that you just put on top. If it leaves play, shuffle your library.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you want it for the shuffle effect in some circumstances, but then you don't really need to be digging 10 cards deep. So
Yeah.
no, it's just a
Yeah.
weird card.
And you remove, and I was like, you could use this to get cards in your graveyard that you want in your graveyard, but no,
Yeah.
because you have to remove them from the game.
Yeah.
So it's just a weird card. It's just a weird card, and I think probably sometimes people target it as a reserve list buyout, and it comes back down. But I don't know. But if you have one sitting in your box like I do, and you don't want it anymore, now might be a good time to offload it. I think I have 2. Next one I noticed, Scrapheap, Alex. Scrapheap.
Scrapheap.
Scrapheap is a rare from Urza's Legacy.
Scoff.
For a very long time, it was a 25 to 50 cent card. It was just a bulk rare. I probably could have picked these out of bulk rare bins for 75 cents or 50 cents, and I just wasn't doing it. It's 3 colorless artifact. Whenever an artifact or enchantment is put into your graveyard from play, gain 1 life. I've seen it before when I was browsing the Premodern card pool. I've never wanted to play it. Some people are definitely wanting it now. I did not know why until I saw that it was highlighted as a weekly winner on MTG stocks just 3 days ago on August 14th. So this is a very recent occurrence. And they explained exactly why this one is spiking now. So unlike Ancestral Knowledge, where I have no knowledge as to why that one is spiking, Scrapheap is spiking because of a new Food Matters commander.
Oh, it's lobster.
It is the lobster, Ragost, deft gastronaut, Ragost. Legendary creature, lobster citizen. Very weird. Don't know what's going on there.
There's another art for that too. You should look it up while we're looking at it.
Don't tell me what to do, Alex.
I will tell you.
What's the other art? Let me look. Pre-release art? Promo pack art? Man, why isn't this stuff loading? This one?
I guess. What's the regular Edge of Eternity's one above it? Is that the same?
Yeah.
All
But
3
no,
are the same.
yeah.
Okay. But yeah, he's a lobster cook, I
He's
guess.
a lobster cook. He's a citizen. He's a cook. He's a gastronaut, which a culinary explorer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He's one red, one white, 2/2. Artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types and have. Pay 2 colors, tap, sacrifice this artifact. You gain 3 life. Also, pay 1 colors, tap, sacrifice a food. Ragast deals 3 damage to each opponent. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, untap Ragast. That's the key.
Yeah.
So you could sacrifice artifacts or food tokens, which I think are also artifacts, to gain life or to deal damage, but he taps when you do those things, but he untaps when you gain life. So people are looking for cards that gain you life when an artifact, or in this case a token, goes to the graveyard, which Scrapheap might be the only one. Because here you can tap Ragast, activate his ability, send an artifact token to the graveyard. When that happens, you gain 1 life. Ragast then untaps. Then you could tap him, activate his ability to send another artifact token to the graveyard. You get to reuse his abilities multiple times.
Yeah.
So the reason for the spike is the new Food Matters commander we've seen in the weekly winners lately. Ragast Deft Gastronaut wants to sacrifice food tokens constantly to deal damage, but needs life gain to untap and keep the engine running. Scrapheap provides exactly that. In a 4-player game, again, this is something I don't always think of because I don't play Commander. In a 4-player game, this combo can deal upwards of 12 damage per turn cycle to each opponent, which is strong when it gets going. Okay, crazy. Fucking crazy.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. I don't feel it.
I don't either, because I'm not going to play Rastronaut Gaff Destronaut.
And this
What
is
am I
like, a
saying?
combo flavor of the week, and
Yes.
I feel like it's gonna go away. Like you could destroy the creature or the scrap heap. There's lots of combos you can do to do stuff. There's a lot of combos that are great once they get going, like that
Yeah.
article just said. But
Once they get going, but good luck having this get going in a 4-player commander deck or a 4-player
right.
commander game when you can deal 12 damage to each person.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna be like, nah.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's why Scrap Heap is going up. It's like the perfect card for the Deft Gastronaut.
I would like to highlight my preferred Junkyard Urza's card,
Junk Diver.
Junk Diver. How'd
There
you
we
know
go. I
that?
knew it. Because that's the only, you say Junkyard Urza's card. Where else am I going to go?
Yeah. Well, actually, there's actually probably one that's actually better called Extruder, which is another
Fuck.
junkyard card.
Okay. Junkyard Tribal.
Yeah.
Junk Diver. 3 colorless. 1/1. Flying. When Junk Diver is put into a graveyard from play, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay.
Yeah. I thought about maybe putting it in with like Goblin Welder and an artifact deck,
Yeah.
but it's in my
This
considering.
this looks like a Head and Shoulders pattern, Alex. If I was a technical analyst and this was a stock, I don't know what it means when it's a Head and Shoulder. I think that's a bad sign, but I can't remember. But
Check
this is
out
a perfect
Extruder.
this is a perfect Head and Shoulders chart on the Junk Diver. Back down to $2 and some cents.
See how much Extruder is selling for.
Just extruder, not
Yeah,
something
just
extruder.
Extruder.
I
It's
think I
an
saw
uncommon
I
though.
think I saw these in the bulk bin the other day, and I had them. I think I had 2 in my stack, and I was like, nah, I don't need these.
I'll pick that up for me. I want these.
Oh, sorry, it wasn't this one. It was another one that it tapped for something.
Oh, okay.
That's all I remember. Sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Yeah, it wasn't this. Okay. Okay, guys. You can put +1/+1 counters on your opponent's creatures and go like, here's a little gift for you. And then next turn, boom, steal them with a
Oh,
spike.
with the spike feeder, you mean?
Steal them with a spike cannibal. Ha ha
Yeah,
ha.
I just like this because it's a repeatable ability that you can use the turn it comes into play. You know, you do it several times.
You could also use this in a artifact weenie deck that runs meek stones, and you can use the extruders to make your or not meek stones just don't untap. You can
Oh,
ensnaring bridge, so you can make them so big that they can't attack you.
Oh, on your
Ensnaring
opponent's
Bridge,
creatures. I
creatures with
see.
powers greater than the number of cards in your hands can't attack. So you make all their creatures super big so they can't attack you.
They're going straight from modifying their creatures with it. Okay.
And then you're sitting pretty until they disenchant your Ensnaring Bridge. And you've killed yourself. Congratulations. You played yourself, Alex. Congratulations. Why would you even build that deck, Alex? That's a ridiculous idea. Ridiculous. Redonkulous. Anyways, that's it. I don't know if you had any cards you wanted to highlight that you saw shooting up in price recently, but I just noticed those four. I wanted to talk about them briefly.
I don't think so. I've seen one or two, but they're not leaping to mind, so I'll save it for next time.
Fuck it then.
Squandered Resources continues to climb well over
I don't
$100.
even want to know. All I wanted to do was play Prosperloom and Premodern, and these fucks are like, all of a sudden, I need this card that I didn't need for 25, 27 years. Now I can't live without it. Now I have to. What is it, like $80 now? I'm
Over
proxying this
100.
shit.
Over
Are you
100. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go sell mine, I think.
Maybe I should trade mine too. I think I have two. I just wanted the play set to make Prosperloom. Oh my God. Yeah, I was all about them when they were in the teens again. And I was like, this is cool. What are we talking? Man, what's happening? Why?
I forget if they mentioned this. I guess not. I
Not
don't
in a recent article.
see a
The
recent
last
article.
article they wrote was on December 31st, and it was just about the reserve list winners for the year. Uh,
Cheapest lightly played is $88 on
that's
TCG.
wild. I mean, it's a cool card. It's one of the cards from like Vision's Weatherlight era that I would look at and be like, I wonder why this doesn't get enough play, along with Cadaverous Bloom. But Cadaverous Bloom, the answer is because it's 5 mana to cast. Probably. That's probably the answer. It was always a good card, but what has happened now in Magic that hasn't been happening for the last several decades?
I don't know.
Yeah. Sacrifice a land, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any type the sacrifice land could produce. Place ability as a mana source. I don't get it.
Such a drastic spike recently. It's got to be,
Yeah.
a combo with something that people are playing in, like,
CEDH or something.
I mean, maybe we're just like Vintage or Legacy.
I guess it could. Yeah, I guess it could be.
Those are the only three formats it's legal in. Commander,
Okay.
Legacy, and Vintage.
And pre-modern.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oops.
But this is not shooting up because of pre-mod.
No.
It's not shooting up because I wanted to play pre-modern Prosper, and so does everybody else. Okay, that's it, Alex. Fuck that shit. $115. I
Get
guess I
it out of
gotta
here.
guess I gotta proxy it. I'm ready to go. My knees hurt. Even though I've been sitting down, you're like, why do your knees hurt? Well, I've been sitting on my knees for the past hour and a half. I don't know why. Instead of sitting in a chair like an adult, I've been sitting like this. And I've been having my knees like crunched up.
Will
Now
you
my
unfold yourself?
and now my knees hurt, so I need to get up and I need to move around. I need to get some sunshine. There's sun outside. There's people on boats. They're making a lot of noise. So I won't really enjoy walking around my house, but I can get in my car and go drive somewhere a little bit more quiet and walk around there where I can get some peace and quiet.
Sounds nice.
Listen to the birds chirp, listen to the wind blow, get some vitamin D. But I put on some sunscreen first because I don't want skin cancer.
Good. Yeah.
I got a little spot on my face that I'm a little bit worried about. I need to go see a dermatologist about it. But this is also something that just happens when you get older. Like you get like little rough spots on your skin sometimes, like this spot right here. Most of the time it's not noticeable, but if you start to get a little tan, it kind of sticks out a little bit. I also got this on my left arm, a little bump there, right there. Looks
What's
like
going on right now?
a tumor. I thought maybe I was dying, but it's been on my arm for
Is this
10
like turned
years
into a
now.
telemedicine meeting?
And now you're saying 10 years, Steve. Why didn't you haven't looked at yet? Well, I did have it looked at like 10 years ago when it first showed up. My doctor told me it was a lipoma. He's like, they're benign growths. You can get it removed or you can just leave it there. It's really just cosmetic. I was like, I think I'll just leave it there. But also I thought to myself, doesn't make sense to me that you're telling me this. They're not dangerous in any way. It's just if you're prone to getting lipomas, how are you not also more prone to like developing cancer? It's a out of control cellular growth. I did some Googling around. I looked on PubMed and some other places, and I looked for information about whether or not if you tend to get lipomas, are you more likely to develop cancer during your lifetime than people who don't get lipomas? The answer I found was no at the time, but I didn't look too deeply into it because sometimes when you're worried about stuff, you don't want to look into it too much. You just make yourself more nervous. You just kind of like forget about it. But I think the answer is no. I think I'm fine. And I haven't developed more lipomas on my head, but this does remind me actually that I did have a lipoma that developed on the top of my head, right up here, bottom, or the very top of my head. When I was in graduate school, and one day it just went away. It was gone. I reabsorbed it back into my scalp, Alex. But
Ready to win.
I haven't reabsorbed the one in my left bicep. Is there anything you want to say to the people before we go, Alex?
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you if you made it all the way to the end through that.
We appreciate it. Some people do listen to the end. They've sent me emails about it. Spire Golem, Josh. Great guy. Does a lot for the Retromancers.
Cool.
Alex, he said he hopes to see you at a local meetup one day.
I would like to come. I would like to try to come soon.
Ryan found out yesterday. This must be a brand new thing with the Retromancers. Ryan from Ohio, Old Mage Ryan, went into the Retromancers Discord and asked about weekend meetups. And they said, oh, yeah, we got the Sunday one. Because he can't make it down here on Wednesdays. I have a hard time getting there on Wednesdays, too. I almost never make it to Wednesdays and Tuesdays. If I do make it, it's usually the Sunday one. So at a brewery. But then in the channel, in response to his question about weekend meetups, they were like, oh, we got the Sunday meetup and we got a Friday meetup too at a local LGS down here. And then Ryan texted me. He was like, there's Friday meetups. And I was like, what? And I went into the Discord and I saw the conversation between Ruth Muse, Old Mage Ryan from Ohio, and some of the Retromancers. We got a Friday meetup. I think it's once every 2 weeks or maybe just once a month. But that's exciting. That's the best day for me to go play some Magic the Gathering. Usually don't have to work late on Friday, although any day something could happen. I could be stuck at work late. But Friday is usually like fairly one of our more relaxed days at work. There's less chaos. So that'd be like the best day for me to get out there. And he's thinking about coming down for a Friday. You can come down for a Friday too. You can stay at the cabin if you want. Okay. Thanks for recording episode 113, Alex.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. And talk to you later.
I ain't gonna do this anymore. That's all for me. Goodbye.